Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the office hours, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing today? Let me get to the office here shortly. Just finishing up something here. All right, let's try it. Yeah, there we go. Hello and welcome to the office hours, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astropub. And many other things. This is Office Hours. If you've never seen this before, this is a live show where we talk about Star Citizen and Star Citizen-related topics. Today, we're going to talk about how you don't really understand what Staggered Development is. We're going to look at the roadmap, we're going to look at other things, and of course, the Cutlass Steel, so stick around for that. And of course, we're going to do a segment, which is, I still don't have the name for it yet, where I'm going to like pull a section out of this broadcast and put it up as a video for those who don't watch the whole thing. But hopefully if you watched that already and you're coming back here now to watch this now, welcome. Welcome to the full discussion and the context. All right, let's get to greeting everybody. This is just as good. I'm not as good as The Expanse, trust me. Ostentatious, Ottoman, Commander Thrud, Phantom, Trouble Magnet, 5 years. Whew. How did you waste your life with 5 years watching me, Commander Trouble Magnet? Five years of Star Citizen, such a life wasted. Commander Thrud, I'm doing good, man. Chew, how you doing, buddy? Scape, Gravity Cat, welcome. I'm not saying this Cutlass Steel is a pilot dropship, but if pirates were to have a dropship, yes. In reality, the Cutlass Steel is a Huey. It's a Huey. It's 100% the Huey to the Valkyrie's, like, Osprey. I've done worse things than watching the stream for the past 5 years. I don't want to know them. I am Vader, the only daddy. How you doing, Vader? Ash, how you doing, buddy? Staggered means drunk devs, right? Exactly. Now, we'll talk a little bit about it, because I think I've seen a lot of discussions on the subreddit and other places of, like, what Staggered Development is, and people thinking it's just like, oh, CIG just lied to us. There's no such thing as Staggered Development or whatever. And if you pay attention to the monthly reports, which I know Reddit doesn't, because they don't like, for some reason, for a group of people who literally are on a site called Reddit as like a joke about reading something, they don't read. Why won't it read? And it's not just them, to be fair. It's a lot of the Star Citizen community doesn't have time to read or doesn't bother to. But they do have the emotions, all of the emotions at once. Cutlass Steel Toyota truck with weapons bolted onto it usually fits. That's why I say it's like a Huey. You know, a Huey wasn't really designed as nothing but a transport helicopter, but they just started bolting shit to it that didn't make it more dangerous. They're about clickbait and reading, yeah. Well, it's not just a Reddit issue, fandom. It's an issue with Reddit, Twitter, Spectrum. A lot of places I see this discussion. People are like, right, Staggered Development, how's that going? And it's like, have you read the roadmap roundups, or did you just look at the progress tracker? Busta, welcome everyone from Buster the Destroyer stream. My name is Paul. Let's get a follow command for Buster the Destroyer. If you have not and don't watch Buster the Destroyer, you are wrong. You are incorrect. And you must correct this incorrection by watching Buster. Buster has recently taken, so it's like, this is the bar, and this is Buster. She has taken the bar of streaming and turned it up to like 13. Lucky 13. It's fantastic. The production quality is, it's amazing. You should be watching her. You should correct yourself before you wreck yourself, sir. It's good. He's a talker, I hear. I hear you talk with Chris Roberts pretty on a one-to-one basis. How does the Cutlass Steel have a bespoke Ares ion cannon? Or does this have a bespoke ion cannon? Now it does. Man. All right. So before I get started on anything else, the Cutlass Steel is something I've been asking for from CIG for a long time. Now, I haven't been asking for a bespoke ship. I've just been asking for the ability to put in seats in a Cutlass and to bolt on guns on the side so I can have like my Huey, Huey experience where you're door gunning down people. And CIG said, that sounds cool, but what if it had like 17 more guns and almost as many drop like seats as a Valkyrie? And I'm sitting here going, you listened to me, and you turned it up to 11. It is absolutely 100% dumb and 100% Drake. That thing is going to get so much use because I'm immediately turning my Cutlass Red into it. The concept of the Steel is great. A budget dropship. Oh, so good. The remote turret's gonna be like size 2 or something like that. They're not gonna. It's not gonna be that big, and the mounted guns are size 1s, I think. Go, Buster. I understand. For anybody who ever does, because I do this myself, all streamers who raid and run, they usually raid because, hey, I like this person. Go watch this person. I'm tired. I'm done streaming. I'm not gonna stick around for longer. So yeah, follow Buster the Destroyer. Can we get a follow command for Buster the Destroyer? Buster, drop yourself a follow. A follow command. Good morning, Vietnam. I've been seeing a lot of these, like, House of the Rising Sun, but you're on the last chopper out of Saigon, and I'm getting with the Cutlass Steel hello darkness, my old friend, but you're on the last ship out of Virgil before the Van Duel take it over. Fortunate son, baby. Hold on, I'm not gonna play it again, but yeah. Drake said the Valkyrie has some side guns. What if we had 2 side guns on each side and one in the back? That thing is stupid. It's absolutely a porcupine of dumb. Like, you're not going to be able to use any of those guns effectively. But you will be able to just walk into danger and just gun down things wantonly. Size 3 gimbaled? I think that may have been a misspeak. I don't think the Cutlass usually has size 3 gimbals. They have size 2 gimbaled, I believe. No. Yeah, they just size 2 gimbaled. Size 3 fixed. Unless they've changed it for the Steel. Yeah, they could have, because it's a Steel. My hanger gonna look so odd. Half Drake, half Origin. I am of the same thing. My hanger is gonna be filled with like Drake and Misk. We got seats and guns. How dare you taunt me with your functional G Fuel shaker? Yours cracked? Oh damn. Just for you, Josh. The pilot has more guns. The man turret has size 3, remote turret size 2, and 5 fucking Gatlings. Yeah, but the Gatlings aren't placed in a way that you could use them as a fighter, and the remote turret is a back turret. So it's just a Cutlass with more guns, is what it is, and drop seats. The reason why they named it Steel is because, all right, so let me get a little bit of a lore question. I saw someone ask a lore question earlier. Let me explain something. First off, there's a reason why I consider my character inverse to be from Magnus, because Cutlass, because Drake, because stuff like this. Drake does nothing but take the Cutlass and then remake it into everything else. The Kraken is just a massive Cutlass fused together with a bunch of upsized caterpillars. That's essentially what the Kraken is. That's the joke in the universe, is that everything that Drake does is just a Cutlass in a different skin. A Cutlass with some stuff added to it, which is why they're able to make it so cheap. They use the same parts for everything, and the reason why they call it the Cutlass Steel is because Drake, the name, is just sounding cool. The reason why they called them Drake is just because they're like, it's a cool name. There's no purpose behind it. There's no it's just, it sounded cool is why they chose it. Drake is all about like appearances. That is one of their, which sounds odd because they're so ratchet in terms of their aesthetic, but their appearance is the rugged outsider, fuck you man kind of like appearance. That's their whole mystique, their whole brand is it in the public is this, you know, frontier, rugged, against the authority sort of appeal. So calling something the Cutlass Steel is a double entendre, and B, and two, and B, it's overly machismo, which is 100% Drake's style. Yeah, Drake, Cutlass Steel, S-T-E-E-L, but it, you know, yes, fortunate son. Of your own awesomeness. Also, if anyone naysays for having it, if anyone naysays you for having it, you won't even be able to hear them over the deafening sound of your own awesomeness. Judas Priest and all the guns blazing plays in the background. Yeah. Ronan Chan, thank you so much for that Prime sub. Drake was also a famous privateer. Yeah. What is a Cutlass Steel? I got a little late. All right, let's watch this real quickly because I have it. Managed to get the download of it. Retweet the stream, by the way, if you get a chance to. I need to figure out how to do pinned comments on YouTube for the YouTube stream stuff. I've seen people do that before. Okay, we'll pull this up.
Drug labs allow me to.
Okay. The quality isn't great, but you know.
And something new to help players hold down those drug labs, allow me to introduce to you the Cutlass Steel, the newest offering from Drake Interplanetary that lets you bring people and guns to bear on targets like never before. Let's start with the guns. We heard you like guns, so in addition to the 4 size 3 gimbals controlled by the pilot, 1 man turret with size 3s, we've added an additional remote turret with size 2, a whole bunch of missiles, and of course the brand new hotness, 5 door-mounted ballistic Gatlings, 2 on each side and 1 at the rear to bring a veritable death blossom of firepower down upon Raven's Roost, Paradise Cove, Jumptown, or heck, just about anywhere. Then, once you've cleared the area, we go inside the ship to discover a whopping 18 jump seats full of mercenaries or commandos ready to maintain control of the area. Is it a lot? Maybe. Is it excessive? Possibly. Is it Drake? Through and through, you bet your butt it is. The Cutlass Steel will be straight to flyable when our next patch goes live. Let me try some unofficial ad copy here. The Drake Cutlass Steel. It's a lot.
It is a lot. That's right. Yeah, I thought it was a joke at first. Straight to flyable in 3.16. It's actually in this current patch. In the latest PTU patch that's just now out, it's in there now. That's the largest crew requirement in its size of its class. Yeah, because it requires, for full use of all of the guns, it requires 5 gunners, a turret gunner, the co-pilot in the back has to, I'm assuming he's going to control the remote turret in the back, the Rio seat, and the pilot. So it's 8, a crew complement of 8. Plus, if you want to roll up with 18, like, that's half the server. That's half the server. It can't. A Cuddy Life Support can't, but that's the point. The Steel is not a Valkyrie. It's not designed to be able to like go long distances. The Cutlass Steel is obviously designed as like something you bring along for a very specific op. It's super niche. Well, see, the co-pilot, it's 2 for the co-pilot, plus one for the gunner, because there's the top turret. So that's 3 in the main cab. And then there's 5 guns in the back. So that's 8. Because the co-pilot is actually going to be controlling the remote turret, I believe. It's a dropship for the Kraken, exactly. Something like that. They've discussed the idea of doing parachutes. They want to do it, but it's not there yet. My argument is for equipment. My argument has always been something that you can use that doubles, that can be used as like a light armor or an attachment that you can put. It's like a backpack right now, but you instead of you put like a jump pack on it. And the idea is that it is you have enough fuel that you can just kind of like essentially slowly jump out of a thing and then kind of just kind of do a suicide burn at the very back and like burn all your fuel off on it instead of a parachute. It makes more sense to have a jump pack or something like that because not all you don't know where you're going to jump out of if you're ejecting from from like a place, ejecting from a fighter. So you need something that's going to be able to protect you in any atmosphere, in any environment. So having a small jump pack will work like that. That would be my take. CIG hasn't talked about it yet, but I think that's probably the way they'd go if they do. I feel like the best way of doing it, though, is instead of having a jump pack on the back, because you have to also like sit in your seat, is to have a jump pack on the front. Yeah, cold gas thruster pack, exactly. I feel like they want IFCS, and I think they didn't they come out with that recently. I think all ships, all thrusters use IFCS. They just don't use fuel yet. Now I do know that in the recent monthly report, the recent roadmap update, they added FPS equipment. So I'm assuming that's going to be up there as well. Yeah, exactly. That's what Mason. I thought that they had talked about a jump pack that doesn't allow flying, but acts like a braking thruster in place of a backpack. I feel like that's just the community talking about it, but I think CIG. That's where I'd do if I was CIG, because it just makes sense. Something that like you could refuel and then you use for like an emergency boost if you wanted to, but mostly just used for jumping out. I'd also love to see fast roping of some kind, where you can like clip on and then like rope down. That'd make sense. Does the steel fit in the Odyssey? No, it doesn't. It won't fit in the Odyssey. It's too big. But does it have 18 toilets? Of course it doesn't. It has the Drake bucket. If I had friends that might upgrade my black, that's, yeah. Half a server full of Cutlass and Steel, yeah. Something like the Cutlass Steel is definitely designed for Pyro. It's designed for Pyro. It's designed for possibly Squadron, possibly like content that they want to add in Pyro later, especially if you start having like reinforcements show up in missions during like an assault mission. You wouldn't have them flying Valkyries. You'd have them flying something like a Cutlass, and a Cutlass Steel makes sense for that. What's my opinion on the Steel? The Steel is absolutely stupid. It is absolutely dumb. But I love it. We'll be done in June. Okay. It screams theater. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a Theaters of War ship. You need a grav pack that arrests downward movement like grav levs do. Ooh, yeah, that would be a good idea too. Instead of having like a thruster pack, having some sort of grav pack. This is all just a distraction from Operation Ion. Make a popular ship a disaster that can fly less. That's not how development works, Aimless. It looks like a Drake Redeemer. It very much is. It's a kind of a split between a Redeemer and a Valkyrie. It's got almost the capacity of the Valkyrie, but not quite so. And it can't hold a vehicle, and it has almost the guns of a Redeemer, but just not quite as many guns or as big guns. It has probably more than the Redeemer, but not much. It's that nice, neat in between. It's like when you need a lot of firepower, but you need to bring a lot of people with you. Power drop, yeah. The Cutlass Steel completely craps on every more expensive dropship. 100%. There are some limitations for that, though. It cannot carry vehicles. The Valkyrie can carry vehicles. Now, that doesn't matter now, but it probably will matter in the future. The Valkyrie has a lot more flexibility because it can also carry cargo. We don't know if the Steel can carry cargo or not. My guess is no. So it can't bring resupplies as well. It's also a Cutlass. As much as I like a Cutlass, Cutlasses aren't exactly the same as the armored ball of guns that is Anvil. Even the Redeemer is probably going to be tougher than the Cutlass. You get what you pay for when it comes to the Steel. You don't have length. It's probably not going to have very good atmospheric support, meaning like it's not going to have a lot of onboard filtration. Like you're not going to have the sort of air supply you need for long range missions with that thing. It's just not going to be done. It's done for short range invasion missions or something like that. Now, the Steel doesn't even have a cargo grid, so it's a stripped down gunship / dropship. It's just a Cutlass variant. Oh yeah, they're releasing a new ship in 3.16 called the Cutlass Steel. Yeah, definitely. Steel plus Kraken equals invasion. That's exactly what it's designed for. If you wanted to get the cheap version, you could just do old school with the cloth parachute from Castak. It only works in Atmos worlds. I'd love that. Steel is a peacekeeping ship with the entire server inside. You don't need to fight. The Steel is the Kraken's escape pod. Yes. That's a great way of looking at it, too. It's sort of like a cross between a dropship and a gunship. They've upped all of the guns for the Cutlass, so that's now 4 gimbaled size 3s, which may mean 4 fixed size 4s. There's no way the Drake, the Cutlass can support that much firepower being fired. There's no way its power plant can survive that. Plus the turret has its own size 3s as it always has. Plus a remote size 2 turret on the back of the Cutlass. Plus 5 manned door guns, which are all size 1s when in ballistic. It's stupid, and 18 seats for a dropship. So it's a cross between a dropship and a gunship. Is it more armored? We have no idea. Probably not. The current HP of it is 13,760. I don't know the stats for a lot of those things. How can the guns that are mountable shoot out of the shields? The same way that your guns can shoot out of the shields? Clearly, the Steel 9s, that fan favorite variant, was missing from IAE. What do you mean, execute? Yeah, it's in PT right now. It's out. Like it just standard gimbal size too. Okay, so it was just a misspeak by Disco, but Jared. It's civilians veterans value self-defense. They said there was a fan favorite coming and never said it would come during IAE. That might be it. That might be the fan favorite because everyone loves the Cutlass, man. Yeah, only the Evocati and streamers have access to it right now. I probably have access to it. I just haven't tried it. Yeah, no, but it's yeah, so you can probably ask people if they have it. I still want the Cully Purple. All right. Firefly, thank you so much for that 43 months. You're a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very new pedestrian. You rock. Stress and cheers in chat. Glad you liked it. I knew you would. Of course I'd love it, Jake. It's Drake, which is always one of my favorite manufacturers just because of their lore and their style. And the fact that the Drake was just like, the Redeemer is a popular ship. How do we counter the Redeemer? Let's just take a Cutlass and slap more guns on it and then put a bunch of seats. And then sell it at half the price. Done. Check cashed. Well, my thoughts on the price range? It's a Cutlass. What's the Cutlass Blue? Because I would imagine it's going to be around the Cutlass Blue range. It was $175. I would say between $150 and $200. Easy $200. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's lower than that. Yeah, probably 150 war bond, maybe 175 war bond. It'd be the same price as a blue. Is to compensate the light 316 patch? Maybe. I don't think that they planned on doing that though. Because they've talked about a fan favorite variant for months now. This is like 6 months, 4 to 6 months. They've talked about doing a variant of a fan favorite ship. Again, y'all, they build these things months in advance. It's not like they put this out just now so that they can distract from the Ares and Redeemer, y'all. And that's what happens every single time they come out with a new patch. They take the latest ships and they tone them down from where they were before. I think it's uninspired. I think it's exactly what Drake is. I have to disagree. I think it's perfect for what it's designed to do, which is designed to be the Drake answer to drop ships. Yeah, Cutlass. All right, everyone come in like, wait, there's this new ship? I will say it one more time. There is a Cutlass variant that has 5 door guns, 2 on either side and 1 on the back, has 1 remote turret on the back for 2 size 2s, and has 18 drop seats, like, kind of seats that for dropping troops. And it's called the Cutlass Steel. It's dumb, and it's amazing. I'll remove the Star Citizen. There you go. No, it does not have any cargo space for ammo. It has no space for vehicles. It just has seats for troops and guns. That's all it has. It's entirely just a gutted Cutlass that has more guns and seats than sense. And I love it. There's no way the Steel is going for less than a Cutlass. The Cutlass is it's going to go higher because of the guns. CIG tends to price based off of equipment and guns, and the number of guns and the on that ship is very high. So that alone is going to push the price up close to the Cutlass Blue. It's an armed troop transport. Yeah. An armed civilian troop transport. You had me at more guns. Oh, no, I'm not melting. I don't never had an Ares. Don't melt an Ares for this ship. It's stupid. It's stupid. The Ares is fine. The Ares will find its place in its niche where CIG wants it to go. In fact, this ship is designed almost... This ship would work perfectly alongside an Ares and a couple of Buccaneers. So you have like a couple Buccaneers for air support and an Ares or two for ground strafing, while the Steel stays around for some air support and mostly to transport people back and forth. It's like it's like a pickup truck with a bunch of militia doofuses in the bed. Yes, and mounted guns. Yeah, the Ares and the Inferno don't move. Your Inferno and your Ion are fine. They'll find a good place. Yeah, it's not. I think there's some conspiracy theories that's like, oh, CIG releases a new ship to sell a bunch of it and then they just nerf it. It's like, no, it's hard to balance when you're building ships. And when you release a ship, you're more focused on just getting it out the door. And we'll talk about this a little bit because this actually goes into what I'm going to talk about with how CIG seems to be doing their Staggered Development. It's very similar. It's very much kind of in the same vein as that. Hold on. There we go. Well, that's what PTU is for, to tell CIG that it needs to fix it. But at the same time, the Ares and the Ares needs to be focused on killing capital ships. It shouldn't be such an insane beat stick that it can kill even light fighters. So I get that whole thing. How's the camera retreat means? Once I've got it dialed in and everything, it's fine. It's still overheating, but it's not as bad. It's just because the room gets hot. Yeah, there's no way that the Ares changes final. We'll see changes even in 3.16.1 in January. And then we'll see even more changes in 3.17 in March. Theaters of War anyone? Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying. This feels like a Theaters of War game ship. I expect a Cutlass cash grab with 3.16.1, incorporating an Inferno cannon on the manned mount on the ramp. Yes. Finally, with a Cuddy with toilet bomb size 1. Oh, just wait until Drake gets into the bomber market. The Cuddy will be the floor drops away. That's exactly. See, that's the thing. Like I expect there to be 17 variants of the Cutlass before this game is out. Because the Cutlass in lore, the Cutlass is insanely versatile. And it's just what Drake does. Like, even if you look at things like the Buccaneer and you look at the Herald and you look at what are some of the other Drake ships? The Corsair, not to a degree if you look at the cab on the Cutlass or on the Caterpillar, like They're just cutlasses. They're just pieces of cutlasses that have just been stretched and molded and banged together. They're using the same components, the same style, the same design. Like, it's obvious that that someone in a 3D program at, like, this isn't what CIG did. I'm sure it's a little bit more nuanced, but it looks like someone, like, with the cab, with the little, like, command capsule of the caterpillar. It's like someone at Drake just said, stretch tool, stretch it out. We've got a capsule, scrunch, slap the engine, take the engines off, put them in the back, and we're done. I'm done. Round of beers, all right. Cutlass Flamer, flamethrowers on every door. Keep those Randos bugs at bay. You choose to stick a bomb on each seat or person. When are we getting more freelancer variants? That's a good question. I also expect more freelancer variants in the future as well. I expect the freelancer bus, and I expect it to be called the BUS. And I expect it to be a civilian transport variant of the freelancer, where they strip out the cargo bay and just replace it with seats. That makes sense. It's got a long range. It's not going to be luxurious, but it's kind of like a shuttle to take people from, like, say, system to system. You're not going from, like, on some distant vacation, but if you got to go to a meeting on the cheap and you're in Stanton, you got to go to like Magnus, why would you go hop on a Starliner? Just get a freelancer and head out there. Seats and new windows. Exactly. Yeah. Just the backside. We just have some windows and some seats, and that's it. Big utilitarian services. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like a freelancer RV, something that has like the entire back section is set up for living quarters. You could do something like that too. Oh, please discuss the handlebar sneak peek. There's someone who asked a question earlier and I skipped over them because I was talking about cool shit. So I feel bad about it. Gosh, I'm not seeing it anymore. Whoever asked it earlier, if you're still here, someone said, "Oh, off topic, blah 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 blah." I saw the question, but I don't see it anymore. So whoever was asking it, feel free to ask it again. A Winnebago, yeah. A Winnebago. Lone Star. Isn't intersystem travel supposed to take a while? Like you'll need beds. It could take a bit, but like on the cheap, like plenty of people fly in like transatlantic voyages with like cheap seats and just kind of pass out in the seat. You just sleep in the seat. I hope the Cutlass Steel comes with a free air freshener. I'd love to see CIG more or less stop making totally new ships and focus on variants and modules to help cut ship tech debt. I hope so, yeah. Yeah, so RSI back. So the handle. Let me show y'all what I discovered about the handle. So I was looking at the ships, the kind of silhouettes. It's not here, it's here. I was looking at the silhouettes from the pull this up right here. So, this right here there was the sneak preview, right? Handle, it's probably with the speeder that they've been teasing. And I was looking through all of the speeders that were, or the hover bikes that were in, that were previewed in, at CitizenCon, and I was looking at the handles, and all of them had like shields along the handles, so that you couldn't, like, basically if you were grabbing the handles, you would have like your whole arm covered, your hand and your whole arm would be covered by kind of like a shield, except for one, which is this one. If you notice where the handlebars would be, like right here, you see that this area right here is not guarded. So it should be, so this is likely the base that they were working with, which surprised me because I thought they'd get away from this because it looks too much like the Dragonfly, but who knows? That's at least my thought. What do y'all think? Freelancer RV only makes sense if we can fire jars with jam to mess up radars. Only with a cab to carry a single container cuddy draft. Yeah. Consolidated Outland hover bike thing. New Consolidated Outland art style is one to one. Yeah. It's pretty close to it. I'd like to see it option 2, but based off of that image, I don't think it's option 2, unfortunately. Devarin hoverbike, maybe? Maybe. So there's a couple of people who said that it's Consolidated Outland, which I wouldn't be surprised about. Consolidated Outland has the least amount of ships out there. It has the Pioneer, the Nomad, and the Mustang, and that's it. So giving it a hover bike would make sense. Some other people have said RSI, which also makes sense because RSI has been in the shipmaking industry for hundreds of years. It's the oldest company in the verse, and it doesn't have a hover bike? What? Why does Drake and Origin have hover bikes, but RSI doesn't? And it does look similar to, say, like the Mantis. So that could work as well. And there's a lot of people who say it could be Tavarin. It definitely could be Tavarin. Or maybe a Banu ship. Who knows? Maybe Crusader? I don't know. That would be really weird for Crusader. It wouldn't be impossible, but... Yeah, we talked about the Cutlass Steel already. Cuddy or Freelancer Kegger? Oh, yeah, I was going to say. I still have a dream Cutlass. My Cutlass Khajiit. The Cutlass Khajiit would actually be called the Cutlass Gold. Because it's a merchant ship. Get it? Gold? Yeah. Because that's the same kind of mentality of Cutlass Steel. And I still think it would work well. You just swap out that back area for essentially a shop. And you could just have different modules to represent different shops. It could be a shop, it could be a restaurant, it could be a bar, whatever. Still no shitter. Still no shitter. Who's going to name Dix's Cutlass Steel Zoolander? Yes. Gatak bike would be awesome. Yeah, it would make sense, but it'd be weird to have like another bike from the Xi'an like that. Almost like an Astropub. More like a taco truck, you know, a food truck. Could also be like a Merlin Archimedes crew. Could see that fitting in style maybe. But it's very Nomad looking. Yeah. Did you already go over what was gutted from 316? We haven't talked about it yet. No. Cutlass Brown. Now the Cutlass Brown is definitely a honey wagon. It's just replaces the interior with ship tanks. What other would be the big factor would it have over hover bikes? Maybe a larger cargo, 3-man? I could see 3-man. I'd say something like possibly no cargo whatsoever, but faster. So faster than, say, a Dragonfly, but slower than a Nox. So somewhere in between those two. Or designed to be a little bit more Cutlass pink. Hey, I'm still waiting for a Star Kitten Cutlass. Please, CIG. Hover buggy? I guess so. An cargo food truck would be godlike. Yeah, something like that would be a great idea too. Are they hinting that this new bike can go super high? It's really up in the clouds. No, it might be a reference to Crusader. Cutlass green, completely recycled. No, wait. Actually, almost all cutlasses are made out of recycled materials. They actually say it on the plaques that Drake uses like 80% recycled materials. So is 316 worth it now with the steel? We'll talk about that. It's funny, but like the Idris is almost entirely recycled too. Like the Idris is made out of old Idrises. Oh, I can guarantee you that that Gravlab's coming out with 316. Yes, 100%. The Cutlass orange. For a Pathfinder, I could see something. Well, because they're using steel now, we've jumped Pokemon editions. All right, we're no longer doing black, blue, and red. Now we're doing steel. So steel, gold, and platinum. The platinum is going to be the Drake's luxury ship, the Cutlass Platinum, with the full suite in the back. Oh, the Cutlass Carbon. There we go. You know. A size 7 gun with a bike seat strapped to it by Drake. Listen, I have told y'all about my Cutlass broadside idea, and I'll say it again. I still have an idea for a hover mobile artillery piece that's just 4 dragonflies strapped to a base and a size 7 gun slapped to that bad boy. And the operator is like in a cage, not even like in a cockpit, like in a wire mesh cage, driving this thing and firing it, and then the idea is that it turns off its hover, fires its cannon, turns on and like puts away at. Now with toilets, the red has a toilet. All right, let's talk about 316. And before that, I'm not going to do the segment yet. I'm just going to talk about what were we going to talk about again? I know there was something specific we were going to talk about. Roadmap update. That's where we go. So let's do that first. So Jake is still probably hanging out in chat because Jake doesn't know when to sleep. I mean, it is only like 9 o'clock, but all right. So we're going to go boom, 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 boom. We're going to go presentation. So roadmap roundup. Let's take a look. This is why we're going to talk a little bit about 316. This week, we'd like to give an update on the state of Alpha 316 and what can you expect to hit the live servers before holiday break next week versus what will release at the beginning of next year. Star Citizen Alpha 315 took longer to get out of the door than we initially planned, which has limited the amount of time we have to stabilize the 316 codebase. For this reason, we've opted to branch from 3.15 development stream to avoid risking overall stability, which has been the best we've had in years. Taking this approach means that we'll be operating on the same code base that's currently in the live servers while manually integrating 3.16 features, specifically those we deem low risk to integrate. It was important for us to try and limit content moving back a full quarter to Alpha 3.17, as we're eager for you all to have refreshing and engaging content to play over the holiday break and into the early new year. For this reason, in addition to the next week's release, we're also planning on releasing a content patch 3.16.1 when we return from holiday break. This patch will include some of the content that we were unable to integrate before the holidays. Read on this below. Okay, so release view. As mentioned, a roadmap caveats and letter from chairman that accompanied the new roadmap back in 2020. Features that were marked as committed for full release window are done with at least 90% certainty, and the feature won't move. Only in extreme cases will something like this shift and put in a committed status. Since that announcement, we have successfully marked 66 feature cards on the roadmap as committed. With today's roadmap, we're introducing one card, mining gadgets, which will need to be reverted. The features below have successfully been integrated into Alpha 3.16 patch, targeting next week for release for the live servers. These are also come alongside improvements to the law system, atmospheric bounties, and other gameplay improvements, which you can read more here. So Area 18 Hospital, Dying Star map rework, GravLib physics rework, and Jumptown 2.0. The following features are now slated for 3.16.1 content patch at the start of the year: Derelict spaceships, points of interest, and Laser Trip Mine T0. The following features are being reallocated to 3.17 column as they're being integrated into that patch: DNA texture, head texture updates, and mining gadgets. So, because of the delay that's happening, they're not really making 3.16. What we're getting is 3.15.2 and 3.15.3. Effectively, it's the same branch. And then 3.17 will be 3.17. It'll be another branch, because every time CIG makes a new patch, they kind of branch it off from the main dev. So they have a big branch, a big trunk that is the continuing development of the game. And every time they release a new patch, they break off a piece of that with all of the previous features plus some new features that they want to release for that. And they continue to do that over and over again. So each release is a brand new game, effectively. Which I'm fairly certain is how most game companies do something like that, but yeah. Okay, yeah, so the pilot weapon is the same. Okay, for Cutlass Steel. That's good. Thanks for now. We're going to talk about that, Riddick. In fact, that's the whole purpose of this. One of our standalone thing is you don't understand about staggered development. We're going to talk about that, about what that means. And so because DNA texture head updates and mining gadgets are fundamental changes to how the patch works, they pushed it to 3.17. Now, the following deliverables have been added to the progress tracker. Lockable containers. Lockable containers will add the ability for designers to lock entities with either physical or electronic locks, which can be opened with a key or forced open via cutting, destroying, or hacking the lock. This deliverable has been added to EUPU gameplay feature team schedule. FPS devices T1. While throwable and consumable devices already exist within Star Citizen, such as grenades and med pens, further work on this system will enable us to more easily create new items with different effects when used. This includes the development of deployable devices or items that can be carried around as part of the player loadout, equipped and deployed onto a surface. The deliverable is added to the weapon features team schedule. The vehicle tech team has moved from being an upstream team to a downstream team. This is what's important. We'll talk about that here in a moment. As a reminder, this means that it is in more of a reactive role and plans only one quarter ahead rather than 4. This team is keeping their current schedule through quarter 1, but some of their longer-term deliverables are coming off the progress tracker until we approach that time frame next year. For this reason, the following deliverables are being removed from the progress tracker: multi-grid SDF, capital ship destruction, and cockpit button animations. And that's all. $10 to push back the big things they already pushed back when 3.17 comes around. Possibly. The thing that's important to remember about 3.16 or about like when CIG pushes stuff like that is that it's not really, the push is not really a thing that's done, at least nowadays, it isn't as bad as it used to be. It just moves a quarter rather than being moved, like, removed entirely. But we'll talk about it here in a moment. But effectively, is 316 worth it? It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for more advancement in Star Citizen in terms of like fundamental changes like we saw with the medical system and inventory system with 316, you're not going to see it. Just not going to happen. If you are looking for more gameplay, it kind of is, but only if you're really into combat gameplay. I know not everyone is. I get why. But at the same time, I really like Jumptown. That whole emergent gameplay is just so fucking fun. And maybe I have nostalgia goggles on, but I don't give a fuck. That's the kind of thing is great. Absolutely fantastic. I just want more chaos. So we'll see. Yeah. 316 is effectively 315.2. That's what it is. And then 316.1 is 315.3. They're the same branch as 315. And in fact, CIG has done this before. I believe they did it last year or 2 years ago, one of the two. Thank you, Enigma. Thank you. Yeah, the Cutlass Steel has the same guns as the Cutlass Black does. So yeah, so it's just a misspeak on at least so far on Jared's part. All right, so let's look at the roadmap real quickly so I can show you. Because let's look at 317. It's going to be harder for me to judge because 317 is so is still we're not through January, and they usually do a big summits in January to kind of talk about what their plans are for the rest of the year. So things may get changed here or there in terms of things that are like where they want to go. It feels like CIG is less likely just to utterly dump some things anymore. They didn't do it in 2020. They didn't do it in 2021. I don't think they'll do it in 2022. But let's take a look at this. So we've got the DNA textures update. We've got Loreville Hospital. Hangar module manager app. Yeah, we'll see that. I think that's dependent on persistence. So that may slip to 318. Persistent hangars. That also is dependent on persistence. So it may slip to 318 if that doesn't happen. Mining gadgets. We've seen enough of it. I'd be surprised if it slipped. Ship-to-ship refueling. We've seen enough of it. I'd be surprised if it slipped. Selling ship items to shops. Again, that's dependent on persistence, so it really depends. NPC taxi missions T0. That might... I feel like that might just get kicked down to 319 towards the end of the year. Player interaction experience. Hard to say because that was on that slipped from the old 316 as well. So really everything depends on if persistence is in or not. If persistence isn't in, then I wouldn't expect half of those things from gameplay. Scorpius is probably going to happen. The whole A will depend on if persistence happens or not. But I wouldn't be surprised if it slips to be around the same time as the whole C. So, setting proper expectations is important for those sorts of things. So, is 316 worth it? Yeah. If you're a new player, I'd almost say yes, because this is the most stable I've ever seen Star Citizen in a long time. Does that mean it's completely stable and functional? No, it's still Star Citizen. But for people who have high tolerance for just some days just not fucking working, then it's fine. It's all right, yeah. If you haven't played Star Citizen for a year, it's a good patch to come back to. Not too crazy, and Jumptown should be fun. Burbs. The Cutlass now has the letters Burbs. BRBS. Caution, CIG Floret will slip. What really depends on is Cortec, and that's what's important to remember, is that CIG is doing quarterly patches, and this is something I heard a long time ago, so it may be changed, but I've talked with several CIG developers, and they all said that the reason why they did quarterly patches was to get them ready for release, for Star Citizen being released. And that, you know, most game companies do regular maintenance and additions every quarter, and they want to be able to do that as Star Citizen goes. Even after Star Citizen releases, they still want to be able to update every quarter. Now, that usually is fine in games, you know, that are already out, that don't have missing fundamental features, because, you know, adding a new mission or new quests or new skins or new equipment, that's pretty easy. And CIG's already shown that they've pretty much added a patch for a long time. Some sort of ship, some guns, some skins, some armor, like every patch, just new stuff like that comes out all the time. So CIG knows that they can do that pretty easily. The problem comes when you're still adding fundamental features that aren't as easy to predict. So you have a lot of stuff that gets slipped, that slips out of these quarter-to-quarter patches. Is 4.0 supposed to come out in 2022? Only if server meshing is in 2022. 4.0 is when you have server meshing in Pyro. And according to CIG's own estimates, maybe. Do I think 3.18 has a real chance of having the projected content it's slated for? Let's take a look at 3.18. I still have that up. FPS radar and scanning, possibly. Pirate Storm Vandal improvements, that'll probably happen. Cargo system refactor. Yes, again, it depends on persistence. Actor feature team EVA 2.T0. Salvage T0. No, Salvage is not making it in 3.18. You can quote me on that right now. Salvage is not making it in 3.18. It'll make it in 3.19, but it's not going to make it in 3.18. It'll get pushed. Hacking tech, maybe. Zero G push and pull only if the EVA works. If this works, then the push and pull will work. That's been bounced around the roadmap forever. The whole C, again, only if this is in, the refactor. And the Drake Vulture, only if salvage is in. So I'd say that no. And then salvage attachment. So pretty much like most of what we see in 3.18 is some HUD updates, EVA stuff, some additions to Pirate Swarm and Vandal Swarm, which is not done by CIG. It's done by their subsidiary, the contractors that they've hired out. So yeah, that has a high chance of getting done because they're not going to get pulled off of that team to come work on whatever. And again, the cargo system refactor has a lot to do with persistence. If persistence is in, then the cargo system refactor is in. So yeah. Question is, does 3.19 come after? Well, who knows? Brad got a good point in a recent clip. Bugs, yes, but game crashes around 30K. If they do happen still, but it's very rare for them to happen. Do I think 3.16 still has a chance? Have the three quantum attached commodities that Tony Z talked about a month or two ago? Doesn't look like it. If it is, they're not talking about it. And usually, if CIG doesn't talk about it, then it's not in. I wouldn't be surprised if 3.16.1 comes in, but because 3.16 is just 3.15.2 and .3, I wouldn't expect that until 3.17. I haven't tried to mine in the PTU. True, she's supposed to be a dogfighter. She's supposed to reach out and touch somebody. Yeah. I kind of don't care if salvage is done yet. I want to fly my vulture. It's not going to happen though. Do I think 3.18 is a real chance of having the project? Okay, yeah, I looked at that. Yeah. 3.15 was the most stable patch in years. Hopefully that continues. I don't think so. I think I think we're going to reach a time next year if CIG manages to get this tech done, and CIG seems confident. I am tentatively optimistic about it. I feel like CIG can do it based off of their current releases. The roadmap this year was the best roadmap we've had in years, probably because of Jake. and I don't know how to explain this to you other than Jake has been part of the Star Citizen community since 2013. He's been following and collating, and like he's been categorizing Star Citizen stuff better than CIG for most of Star Citizen's existence. And as a result, he kind of understands like what CIG does and doesn't do very well. And outside of, I'm sure, his stuff that he has no control over, he's fairly good at not only being open about what's coming in and what's coming out, but also making sure that the roadmap reflects what they're looking at live. It's just that there's a little bit of a lag there. So I would say, like in previous years, the roadmap has hit about 30% completion, like 30% of what they set forward at the beginning of the year. This year, it feels more like, and I'd have to look at it to see for sure, but it seems more like 50%, because I feel like all of 313 was fine, and they added stuff to 313. 314 slipped to 315. But they still finished most of the stuff in 314. And the only things that really slipped was 316. Like salvage and a couple of other things in 316 got pushed. So only one quarter really got slipped. And most of the stuff that we saw at the beginning of the year made it for between 313, 314, 315. Which is a fuck ton better than it's been in the past. DFX, thank you for that 60 months insurance, my man. Pyro Q1's 2023 feels most vile to me. I'd argue that CIG would be willing to push something like that out in a 3.18.1 patch or a 3.19 patch. Like, it all comes down to what's in 3.17. If they can get persistence in 3.17, because again, that's in March, maybe that'll set the tone. If 3.17 looks like a chessboard because everything's all the pieces are sliding everywhere, then yeah, no, we're not getting in Pyro. I still think CIG has a shot of getting Pyro and jump points in by the end of the year. Hey, Selena, how you doing? Question: the question's like to 3.19. And for those of you know, 4.0 is what they'll call whatever patch ends up with jump points. Before CitizenCon? No. I would say around CitizenCon. I would expect jump points to happen after CitizenCon. So I expect we'll see if CIG can keep on track, but I'm hopeful that CIG can get 3.17 out in March. Maybe not, but we'll see. But I'm almost assured that 3.19 will not make it in September. It'll make it in mid to late October. That's what'll happen. Just like 3.15 was. It'll be super late. Just because, especially if they want to add all this content in. Yeah. And here's the rule of thumb. Anything that CIG can push to CitizenCon, they will. Because A, they can always polish it up a little bit more. And it's CitizenCon. Even if they don't intentionally do it, there's definitely some thinking back there that CitizenCon is their biggest marketing event of the year. Maybe we just push it? Yeah, it's a big event. And I think CIG will do it. I'm still confident that they'll do it. But we'll see. What about PTU around CitizenCon though? Like, yeah, I expect that. Yeah, I think we'd see like a first wave PTU after CitizenCon for 3.19, and I also expect that if it has jump points, they won't talk about it. They'll just shut the fuck up about it if they can manage to get it by that point, and they'll just say, "Oh yeah, by the way, 4.0 is out in PTU now. Bye, have a good day." Oh, and it has salvage. and jump points, and Pyro's there too. Goodbye. Like, oh, and I also expect them to announce Squadron 42 then as well, but that's just me. I every year I've expected something like that, so that's a little off. But based off of what I've seen on the roadmap, and a lot of the other movements and stuff like that, I would expect, and their own announcements, I expect that they're internally hoping to hit in 2023. You'll never see salvage. Wake up, Paul. What do you mean? Do I think all of this is possible? Yes. Do I think it's realistic? No, but I also think that anybody who goes realistic is really saying, I'm an optimist and I don't want to believe anything, so I'm just going to add dates to dates because I don't trust anything CIG says, which I get, but that's not being realistic. That's being pessimistic. That's completely different. It's okay to be a pessimist about CIG. CIG has burned the shit out of all of us, but saying you're realistic makes you sound like a jackass. Instead of a realistic person. Just gonna be honest about that. It's okay to be pessimistic. It's not okay to be a douche. All right. Let's talk about this. Let me pull up the right one here too. Red and brown. Okay. There we go. All right. So let me do the recording here. I'm going to restart this real quick. Whew. So this is where I'm going to look at the camera. I'm going to be recording. This will come out as a separate video. Catch my breath. Catch my breath. If anything, Squadron 40 announced at the end of the year for 2020. Yeah, I do think that at CitizenCon, Chris will announce Squadron 42 release date in Q4 2023. That gives them from now a little over 2 years to get that done, which, based off of what I've seen in the roadmap, seems feasible. It depends on any kind of technical hiccups they still hit. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see 2022. That's a little too optimistic to see Squadron 42 in 2022. That's not going to happen. We would have already heard about it. CIG, Chris has already said that. One second. My camera is overheating a little bit. All right. Wanted to have some AC running. All right. Here goes the recording. Hello and welcome to another capsule. I think that's a good way. Someone suggested that. An office hours capsule. A little segment, a little tiny little bit of our weekly office hours stream. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, and I'm here to tell you that you don't really understand what Staggered Development is. None of you do. And I'm here to explain it. So if you're interested in knowing what the heck is Staggered Development in Star Citizen, come join me for this. To start off on this journey, let's take a look at the roadmap roundup, because it explains a little bit more about how Staggered Development works with CIG. I forgot to turn off the whoosh. I'm going to get comments about the whoosh. I'll turn that off now. All right. Oop. Hit the wrong buttons. Live broadcast, y'all. So, if we look at this, let's look at just every 2 weeks. We accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanation and note, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't read the roundups come out every 2 weeks, which kind of accompany the changes to the roadmap themselves. And it's important to read these to understand the context of why things move. So let's take a look at the important stuff here. This is the wrong roundup. I'm going to restart this entire recording because I fucked up multiple times. Is this the right one? No, it's not. There we go. There we go. All right. Do this again because I fucked up too many times. An ampule of knowledge. Okay, let's try it again. Hello and welcome to the capsule. So I'm going to call this a capsule, a little small bit of our office hours stream where I'm recording this specifically for you on YouTube so that you can come join us live every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern and to talk a little bit about Star Citizen. So I'm here to tell you specifically that you don't understand. My cat is fucking up the recording as typical. Jack, out. Hold on. Damn it, Jack. Needy kitty. Needy kitty. Come on, buddy. Have the cat in the video. I can't. Unfortunately. Take 3. Yeah. Third time's a charm? Hopefully. Hello and welcome to a capsule. That's what I'm calling these little segments of office hours. A little capsule of information. If you want to join us live every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we talk about Star Citizen lore. We talk about Star Citizen updates, all sorts of things. Join us live, or you should watch the show. Like, it's probably up here already for you, waiting for you to click on it. So after you watch this, go click on that and watch the whole context. We talk about the Cutlass Steel, we talk about the roadmap updates, we're talking about some more lore, all sorts of things. So join us there. So today's topic is you fundamentally do not understand staggered development. A lot of people don't. Mostly because people have an idea in their head what this is, not really fully what it actually is. So come join me. Let me explain a little bit about what STIG does in staggered development and how it works. Let's start by looking at the roundup. If you want to understand anything about CIG, reading their updates is important. One of the most important things is to understand how development is progressing, other than the monthly updates, is the roundups, because they give you an example, explanation of why things slip, why things are the way they are, and how the teams function. This accompanies every roadmap update every 2 weeks, and there's usually a little blurb that kind of gives you a rundown of everything that's happened. Don't just skip over it to look at the things that are in the patch. I know you do that. I'm looking at you, Carl. I know you do that. All right? Stop it. It's not good. Read the whole thing. Let me explain. This week, we'd like to give an update on the state of 3.16. Of Alpha 3.16, and what can you expect to hit the live servers before the holiday break next week. First bit of information, 3.16 is coming out next week, it's currently 12/16/2021, so a week from today. Or from yesterday, actually. What will release at the beginning of the new year? Star Citizen Alpha 3.15 took longer to get out the door than we had initially planned, which has limited the amount of time we have to stabilize the 3.16 codebase. For this reason, we've opted to branch it from 3.15 development stream to avoid risking overall stability, which has been the best we've had in years. Taking this approach means that we'll operate on the same code base that's currently on the live servers while manually integrating 3.16 features, specifically those we deem low risk to integrate. It's important for us to try and limit content moving back a full quarter to Alpha 3.17, as we're eager for all of you to have a refreshing and engaging content to play over the holiday break and into the early new year. For this reason, in addition to next week's release, we've also planned to release a content patch 3.16.1 when we return from holiday break. This patch will include some of the content that we're unable to integrate before the holidays. So we'll read more details below. So Area 18, Dying Star, Gravlev, Jumptown. These are coming out. This, as it kind of talks about how since they've introduced the new roadmap back in 2020, they've only missed one of their committed features. Only one of the committed features has been slipped, which is now Mining Gadget, which is slipping to 3.17. But out of 67 total features marked as committed. So we see some things slip. We see Area 18, Dying Star, Gravlev, and Jumptown are all making in before the end of the year. And then 3.16.1 will have derelict spaceships, point of interest, and laser trip mines. But DNA head textures and mining gadgets are moving to 3.17. Now, this is important to understand something. Let me get to the right point here. Let's see if I can find the right term for it. All right, here. This will help you a little bit understand about Staggered Development. The vehicle tech team has moved from being an upstream team to a downstream team. As a reminder, this means that the team is more reactive role and plans only 1 quarter ahead rather than 4. This team is keeping their current schedule through Q1, but some of their longer-term deliverables are coming off the progress tracker until we approach that time frame next year. For this reason, the following deliverables are being removed from the progress tracker temporarily: multigrid SDF, capital ship destruction, and cockpit button animations. This is important to understand. So, how CIG works with their Staggered Development is they have 2 real teams. They have a team that is upstream and a team that is downstream. Now, the teams are a little bit intermixed here and there, and they can float between different things. But each studio has a team that works on vehicles, that works on gameplay, so on and so forth. So those teams are kind of moved into their own different little spots. As a result, generally speaking, we tend to have an upstream patch and a downstream patch, where we'll have some things that has a bunch of new features or back-end features added, sometimes we don't even see, and then we have a content patch later down the line. And if you look at how CIG releases things, that tends to fall in line. You have something like 3.14, which added Crusader, but not much else. It had some tweaks here and there for balances, but it didn't really add a lot of content. But then 3.15, we have a ton more content. Stuff shifts around all the time, but it's important to remember that really the way that CIG works is they have an upstream and a downstream team. On top of that, they have a problem with their upstream and downstream teams. Their upstream teams are often making tech that the downstream teams need. So if the upstream teams get delayed in any kind of way, then the downstream teams are going to get delayed as well. Another problem they have is they don't have enough QA. So Staggered Development is not something that's new that CIG invented. It's something that other developers use. I did some research on this before this video to specifically look at that. And one of the things that was pointed out was that if you're going to do Staggered Development, what's important to have is to have individual QA on each team that's attached to testing all of these features before you go live. And that it's important that you release, that every single time you finish a sprint, you're finishing a sprint with technology that's ready to release, not technology that needs to be tested and somewhere down the line. Because the further away a coder gets, or a team gets away from building an asset, the less likely they are to remember or to be focused on that asset itself. So you need QA to do that. The problem is that CIG doesn't have a lot of QA. So people have to be pulled in from other teams to test often a lot of these new features. And as a result, you see things slip. And if you've read the roadmap updates or roadmap roundups, you'll see this progression go through. And the good news about this is that CIG just hired a metric ton of new QA staff for all of their studios. A bonkers amount of QA staff. I follow a lot of people on Twitter, CIG members on Twitter, and hearing them talk, not just on Twitter, but in other locations, it's pretty, you can kind of see a lot of these bigger pictures coming together. So the hope is that CIG can use these new QA teams to specifically split amongst the two or multiple teams that need in each kind of staggered development cycle to help them test these things faster, to not delay more features. Because again, if you're pulling people off of features or testing features that are designed for, say, 3 months from now to test features that need to be out today, those are going to also be delayed as well. So that's essentially how CIG and staggered development works. It's not necessarily something that you're going to see, oh, well, this patch is working, so why doesn't it work in this patch or whatever? It doesn't really work like that. It's dependent on technology working ahead of time, and it's dependent on QA being available to test those things. So that's it. That's a little bit of explanation of how it works. Do you think I'm insane? I'm sure there's people already typing in chat or in thing that this is exactly wrong. What I said is incredibly wrong, which is fine. Tell me if I'm wrong. Type it out in the comments. Let me know. But hopefully this is enlightening to help you give a little bit more understanding of how CIG kind of does these things. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. All right, there we go. Max 6% subscription for 32 months. You're wrong. I'm the best pie eater. Who am I to decide? Pat says he's never wrong. Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't work like Q1 and Q2. It's a downstream and upstream team. Now, there are some differentiations. Like some downstream teams are working on things now because their upstream counterparts worked on it last 6 months. So they're much more reactive. Downstream teams tend to be more reactive than upstream teams. I wouldn't certify that if some people might. With all this, do you think we fast development 2022? No. I think we'll see faster development at the end of 2022. It takes 6 to 9 months to get a new employee up to speed. Many of those QA personnel just got hired in October, so they're probably not going to be brought on board until after the break, or they're just being brought on board now. They'll get brought up to speed over the next 6 to 9 months. Hopefully, and this is a massive hopefully here, they'll be up to speed and stick around. The problem with QA is most people don't like being QA. Most people who work in QA are essentially out of work programmers or game designers or whatever, and they need to pay bills. So they work for QA as a means to make ends, ends to means sort of thing. And CIG likes to hire internally. So if they can get them to stick around and then hire up, it's important. But at the same time, they may also get sniped by other studios because, they give them options to do the thing that they're actually trained to do. So, yeah, I have seen the trailer for Arma 4's engines. It's the Infusion engine's pretty good, but what a lot of people don't know is that the Infusion engine is actually built for DayZ. It's the DayZ engine. That's what they're using. Will we see a Nemesis to Rathtron? Hopefully soon. Yeah, my experience, upstream team work on the core components and the team and tech, while the downstream team work on the implementation variation of the tech. For example, upstream makes a character base with rigging, downstream team makes a clothing animation. Exactly. So the downstream team is dependent on the upstream team finishing, and if the upstream team needs help to finish and test, then you may be pulling people, including developers, off of their projects to go test those features because it's all hands on deck, get that shit done. And that then slows down downstream teams because A, that needs to get done, which will then take up their time if they have to pull their own staff or their own QA over there. But it's also going to cause problems for the downstream teams because that tech is going to take longer to implement, which means the downstream teams are going to take longer, which is why we see things like the vehicle tech team moving from upstream to downstream. Yeah, there basically needs to be a QA team that's almost the size of the development team. You need to have almost one-to-one QA to developer. Like for every gameplay designer, you need a QA member because they just need people to test. And in a game system like Star Citizen, which is this huge open world universe, you kind of need a lot of people to test all of that, which is one of the reasons why ETF and PTU are so important, because Evocati testers, the most hardcore ones, are just QA testers. They're just open source QA. And then the PTU is, again, more open source, but it's mostly more stress testing than just and balance testing. Yeah. The stigma around being QA is really annoying because it's important in the game's development. QA is the most important job of the entire game development. Like, without QA, you don't have a game. Period. You need good quality assurance testers, people who know what they're doing. Yeah, it's really hard to get good QA, especially embedded QA. Yeah. When is the April Fool's announcement for the Cutlass Steel? And they said they have yet to say April Fool's. It's getting concerned. Tyler, it's in the game, man. It's in the PTU. Honestly, I understood it more like Team 1 working on 316 while Team 2 is working on 317. No, it's not how it works at all. That's not how it works at all. Each team works on a specific aspect, and that aspect can shift, but it's not a specific patch cycle. So that's why you can see something like inventory slip from 314 to 315 easily, because they're attached to that product, and that product is attached to an upstream team. So that downstream team that's working on those assets requires that upstream team to finish first. They may take longer than the downstream team. But each team, it's staggered because not every team is working on everything at once. You have some people who are working on things which may take 6 months before that they get to their actual stuff. So that's why it's you're focused on like the actual patch. It's not actual patch. It's deliverables. Probably should have said that in the video. Hopefully people watch this too. Dr. Demos, thanks for that Prime sub, my man. I thought it was the point of staggered development. Teams working on content for 316 and 317, they overlap each other towards future patches. That's not really how it works, though, because you don't have a 316 team. That's not really how sprints work. You have teams individually, like the US gameplay team. Like that's a team that exists in CIG. They work together in the U.S. studios. I think they're in Austin, and they focus on their own sprints. So they may have a sprint for like hacking, and so they work really together all on hacking. They spend some time, they get that hacking done. But if it doesn't quite make it, they push it to the next patch and they continue to work there. The staggered part comes in where not every team is working on things at the exact same time. So you might have the EU-PU team working on something slightly different, but they're scheduled to push their patch, the patch after the US PU team gameplay team gets finishes with their hacking. So this allows them to kind of drift it out a little bit more, so they can each team has more time to finalize their own work, so they can sit there and go, this isn't fucking working. Let's stop and redo this. But it doesn't mean that they're just slaves to 316. It's not like the US PU team has to work on 316 content. They can work on 317 if that stuff needs to get pushed. Then they just do. Yeah, in addition to upstream, downstream teams, they also have some teams that leapfrogging alt patches too. Exactly. It's important to break your mind up away from saying just like than just patches. Don't think of this in terms of patches. Think of this in terms of deliverables. That's the important thing to just rework your brain into. It's not a patch team, it's a deliverable team. Don't think about it as this 316 team. It's hacking team. It's button pushing team. It's server meshing team. It's AI development team. It's clothing tech team. They each are kind of arranged in a way that they each have 6 months to work on their allotted thing. They'll get through that part so that they can kind of space it out a little bit and make sure it gets good by the end of that 6 months. And then they're staggered away from each other so that they can release at different times, so that you constantly have a flow of content, but you don't burn out your employees. Have they talked about anything about any type of outsourcing development to other companies? Yeah, they do. There's two different outsourcing companies they work for. One is the same company that works on their website, but they're basically the same company now, which is Turbulent. Turbulent has its own studio that they outsource to, but it's effectively an internal CIG studio. They just work together because Turbulent owns parts of CIG and CIG owns parts of Turbulent. They're kind of like Actibliz. It's probably a bad analogy, but it's probably the closest thing that people kind of get. Like, they own each other. Why are our hands orange? Are they orange? I guess they are orange. It's just bad color balancing. They're not really that orange. A little pale. But if I turned it down to where it actually was, my flesh tone would look like I'm a monster. Did Chris already move to the UK? Yes. Patches are not important. Roadmap objects are important. Exactly. The deliverables are important, not the patch. The deliverables is what you need to look at. Yeah, I'll show you. Like, the problem is this isn't actually what I look like. It's just a problem with the camera and lighting. Let me show you. Like, this is what the camera is actually outputting. You can see my hands. This is more close to what my hands are, but I'm not this pale. It's got a little bit of a drab to it. So I look a little too PS3. Gritty for the sake of gritty, not like more out there. This is more appropriate. You also need a ton of previous training in game design just to be an adequate QA, which makes it harder to find. Yes. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. If you've played games for as long as most of us have, when I say my graphics look PS3, you're going, oh, that weird grainy filter over everything. What camera are you using? The Sony A1 6100 or 6100. I don't know how to see whatever it is. It looks better than orange. My hands, but light balance is a little off. Let me turn it down a little bit. It's a little bit more realistic. Does the multiple companies complicate staggered development process of upstream downstream formula? Not fully, as long as the upstream downstream teams like, for instance, I keep remembering. Does anyone tell me the name of the company that works with CIG for like Arena Commander? Because that company is essentially working on Arena Commander. Like Theaters of War, Arena Commander, all of that is their business. And it might as well be a different fucking game at this point. So as a result, it's not reliant on CIG completing other things, but effectively they may be waiting for CIG to have upstream completion of certain objects that they can then implement into downstream. Fire Sprite. Thank you, Fire Sprite. It would be cool if they become like Treyarch and we get used to Star Citizen Universe parallel to Squadron 42.
I like money.
Money. Yeah. Yeah, OG Matrix, everything tinted green. Mid-2000s shooters where everything has a teal like everything is blue for some reason. The EU Marvel Universe baddie, Fire Sprite? Oh.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Are you just randomly pushing things there, Kashmir? So yeah. I might actually cut in, like, go after this and kind of add a little bit extra and be like, hey, when we talked about it, I was able to explain it a little bit better. I'll add some of this in here so you can get some context. But what kind of dynamic would like to see in 2022? A Keller's Run. Let me explain a little bit of lore to understand Keller's Run. Keller's Run is yakety sax, but with guns. Keller's Run was a situation where a guy by the name of Keller, last name, I can't remember his first name, was a outlaw who really loved Anvil. He really loved Hornets. And he lived in Spider, which is a outlaw like capital. It's Tortuga from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It's an outlaw capital, really. It's basically a bunch of old UNE, UPE, and UEE warships that have been kind of smushed together to form a giant space station. And parts of it are like actually have a security team that kind of maintains law and order, and parts of it are free fire, like you can do what you want. Essentially, like the more civilian side of that, like the people who work with the outlaws but aren't necessarily outlaws themselves, will be in the safer section. I know Tortuga is real, but the Tortuga in Pirates of the Caribbean is nothing like what Tortuga actually was. I believe they based it heavily on, I want to say Port-au-Prince, but I don't know if that's true or not. There's a different place that was kind of very piratey for a while. I still want your Kirsten ground op, Spartans, Ursas, and Novas duking it out and to deliver relief partner perimeter gates. I like that idea too, yeah. But let me explain essentially. Essentially, there's a section that's kind of like a green zone where no one can fire, and then the rest of it is just kind of self-policing. The general rule is you're only wanted if you shoot somebody else, but if you draw on somebody else and kill them, then you're free game. Anyone can shoot you. And Keller got into an argument with at a bar. He was drunk and arguing about the merits of the Hornet. He thought the latest Hornet sucked, and the guy he was arguing with was just like, I don't give a shit, fuck off. And so they got in an argument, and Keller ended up pulling a gun and shooting him. Turns out the guy he shot was an undercover UEE advocacy agent who were listening in on the whole conversation. Shot him in a bar where a bunch of pirates were there too, and he shot him unprovoked. So everyone pulled out guns and started shooting at Keller, so he ran. Got into his Hornet and managed to get away, being chased by the pirates and the advocacy agents who were stinging the operation, and then proceeded to run them. It was at this
moment that he knew. He fucked up.
He just ran the fuck away and managed on like 4 different systems to land on these merry chases. Got out of his ship and stole other people's ships at times. There were bounty hunters that went after him, mercenaries that went after him. like a passerby managed to essentially get a lucky shot on him and kill him and collect the bounty. But it was this merry, crazy chase of official UEE law enforcement, mercenaries, bounty hunters, pirates, private security forces, local security forces, all chasing after this man as like yakety sacks with guns. It's actually the thing that caused the invasion of the Nexus system. Y'all. The Nexus system by the UEE, because it all happened in the Nexus system, and everyone got pissed because they're like, this dude managed to make you all look like fools. And it pointed out, a lot of news organizations pointed out that like Nexus is the crossroads of crime. All stolen goods in the UEE end up going through Nexus at some point, but the UEE doesn't give a shit about policing its own borders. So the UEE senators, wanting to look tough on crime, invaded the fucking Nexus system, which is the whole point of the crossroads of crime map for Theaters of War, was the invasion of the Nexus system. So I'm looking for something like that, where you have one VIP somewhere in the system that you have to track down, find, and kill before anybody else, who has an insane bounty on their head, like 2 million credits or something like that. Nassau. Okay, thank you, Jack. Yeah, Nassau. I think that was it. Oh, what's yakety sax? Okay, hold on. Let me give you. You know what yakety sax is. Let me give you a moment. Actually, you know what? I don't want to get demonetized. Look up yakety sax on YouTube, but I'll give you my very poorly rendition yakety sax. That's yakety sax. The Benny Hill music, yes. But it's Benny Hill started it, but everyone's kind of like ripped off of Benny Hill since then. That was bad. Thank you. I'm not a singer. Benny Hill silliness, bonkers chase. Exactly. Something tells me that I'd be like the bounty that would be over ice cream. Well, the idea is that you have an NPC that's like that. You set an NPC bounty that's insanely high and have people go after them. Maybe they're like the head of a crime syndicate or like of a local gang. And you have a situation where like the UE is like, we need to get this guy. Whoever gets them gets the money. And so you have people descending upon the base that this guy is, everyone out for themselves to try to kill the dude. And whoever does it gets the full thing. Hey, Subliminal, thank you so much for that raid. Welcome everyone from Subliminal Stream. My name is Paul. This is our office hours stream where we kind of talk about Star Citizen. We just kind of hang out and shoot the shit. That song makes anything funny, yes. I associate that music with Ray Stevens for some reason. Yeah. How you doing there, Subliminal? How you doing, buddy? But I still like my ground operation idea too. I'd love to see something involving NPCs with tanks and vehicles, and players having to assault a base or like run cargo from point A to point B through an area that's difficult. What about non-combat events? I've always liked the idea of a gold rush, where you have an object that's only in the system for a certain amount of time, and you can go mine the hell out of it, like a pure Quantanium asteroid that's like shows up, and if you know if you have the right kind of connections, you can just go there. Been live for like 10 hours. Jesus Christ, dude, go to bed. Yeah, get that video done and crash. Thank you for hanging out. For those who don't know,
Just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Subliminal's another Star Citizen YouTuber and Twitch streamer. You probably should know who Subliminal is by now. Fantastic dude, worth your time, worth your follow, worth your subscription, all of that. The moment they had dogs. Yeah, I'd like to see like a gold rush. Right there. Boop. Right there. Follow that man. I'd also like to see a relief mission. Or like building a new station. Like one of the things I'd really like to see is Port Olisar get replaced. But when Port Olisar gets replaced, it has its own event where players have to deliver specific goods from all over Stanton to a area where it's under construction to drop off goods. And there's like Elite Dangerous did something like this, where you had to like drop off goods at a certain location so that they could build the station as kind of a community event. I'd like something like that. Now you stream. I've been streaming. Yes, I stream. I stream all the time. Space Patrol. You know this. Adam's that's a good point. Watching content. I know, like Tomato and Loken and Subliminal, Mike, a lot of people, and Burks, a lot of people do kind of new guides or something. I even do a smuggler's guide to help people kind of understand how illegal commodities work, where you can sell them, what you like, how you should buy stuff, to help people kind of understand more about how the game functions in terms of specific things. Because if you are a combat pilot and you want to get into trading, it's really difficult, surprisingly. It's not just buy aluminum and go sell it here, because that works. But you also have the like efficiency issue, where like you're not making as much money as you could do. So knowing the right materials to sell where, how much quantity you want to sell so you can just drop it and go, rather than having to sit there at a terminal and go bop, 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 bop over and over and over again. That all is important that a combat pilot might not know. And same thing with, like, say, a non-combat pilot getting into combat, understanding how weapons work, how they're balanced, how the cooldown rates, the DPS, the health that you're looking at, all those sorts of things. Pirate's Guide? Smuggler's Guide. Not really piratey. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Lift, the entire plant made of ships is called Spider. Can we still find those old liquor bottles? No, unfortunately, not the money-making liquor bottles. I wish we could. That was awesome, but no, not yet. Jack Axton has some phenomenal videos in cargo and trade. Yeah, Jack Axton is a cargo man, though. Like, Jack Axton could make money with could find a good route with an Aurora and 20 cents in his pocket. That's just who he is. Kyle Smith question: what salvaged tier / patch will they awaken the Reclaimer? Do you think that those? Think it loses any of its 6 dual size 3 turrets? And do they dare remove the alien interior aesthetic for a cleaner look? No, they're not going to change that up. It's the way it is way it is. You'll note that it looks very similar to the Hammerhead. They both have similar designs. They won't lose. I doubt the Reclaimer will lose its guns. It just kind of makes sense to have those guns. Honest officer, I bought these goods from a Cutlass Black. They said they were legit. Oh man, train heist. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like stopping that would be a good mission. Stopping a convoy. That would be a great part of like an event. Like there's an outpost that's dug in and it's got heavy defenses and you got to take them out, but you can't get close to them because you just get annihilated. So one of the side things you do is you go take out the convoys, which are resupplying them from various locations, and it's to kind of whittle them down with their ammunition and stuff. That'd be kind of cool. You think we'll ever see nail drop pods and Titan battle suits? We'll definitely see Titan battle suits, probably not nail drop pods. What was the justification for CIG allowing to sell of UEC with IRL money? The idea behind doing that, I don't agree with it, but the reason why CIG wanted to do it was because in their mind, there were always going to be gold sellers. There was always going to be somebody who sells UEC. Fuck, there are people who sell AUEC still. They wanted to mitigate that by essentially doing it themselves so they can always undercut the market if they need to try to drive those people out. Because Chris has said that one of his pet peeves with MMOs is third-party gold sellers. He hates those people, so he wanted to do everything he could to kind of like mitigate that. It also helps that it makes them a lot of money. But I'm not a fan of it. I feel like it's silly to try to do that because you always have enough, especially with CIG having enough money sinks, more money sinks than required, to kind of mitigate a lot of that problem. But in terms of what salvage patch do I think they'll awaken the Reclaimer? The Reclaimer has mining drones too, or salvage drones with it, right? Or am I thinking of something else? Doesn't it have like an actual like ship that's supposed to come with it? We'll see that when we see it, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Maybe next year. Not 2022, I'm sorry, 2023. Plus that money stays as you're starting UEC. Yeah. Most MMOs have ended up doing eventually, yeah. Both drones and a snub ship, yeah. I know myself included thought about buying ships so we could sell the ships for UEC. We don't know if you'll be allowed to sell IRL purchase ships for UEC. I wouldn't be surprised if you won't be able to do that. I mean, you may be able to sell it, meaning like give it to another player. But the problem about it is, actually may not even be able to do that. The problem about it is, economy wise, you could sell the ship and then you would always be able to buy it back because CIG doesn't want you to be able to, ever be without a ship. So like they don't want you to be like, oh, I bought this $300 ship. It's blown up now. I can't get it back. They always want you to be able to get it back. And it would be kind of an infinite money machine if you could sell the ship to somebody else, but still have the ability to buy it back from CIG. So you could just basically sell the ship infinite numbers of times. That sounds like an economy breaking issue. So they'll probably just not let you sell ships with that you purchase with IRL cash. Rentals? Maybe. I mean, but you won't be able to infinite print money. Yeah, I wanted nail pods to work too. I thought that would have been pretty cool, but sadly, someone suggested letters of marque as a solution for confiscated material. Basically, a government bounty for criminal ships. Probably. I mean, they already kind of did that a little bit with Jumptown. They're kind of doing that. Just tag IRL ships so they can't be sold in game. That's basically what they'll do. They'll tag them so they can't be sold. But you still want to have people be able to steal them, but you won't be able to sell them. So if someone steals or someone gives the ship to a friend and then reclaims it and gets a new ship, that ship will always be registered as stolen and you can't scrub it. That's what I would do for that situation, because it basically would mean that you always have a hot ship no matter what. I think it would be great to have a starter character with no ships, needing a crew to or flip burgers at Wambers to get off planet. I agree. I like that idea too. I like the idea of a super stripped down basic package. The only problem with that is that with that idea is that it would give you a cheap cheating character. You know, a cheap way you can just buy a throwaway person, then use that character creator as a way to develop hacks and stuff like that. So, didn't Chris say that through insurance, the insurance side is full? Say though that insurance is tied to hull, so when you sell it, it follow. It follow it. You'd have to sort me for that one, but I don't. You like source me for that one, but I don't see that working with paid ships, with player paid ships, because it just breaks the economy. Because you always will be able to get your ship back, because they don't want. I spent $600 now. I can't get my ship back because it's blown up. What about player-run production? Has it been said if we can make, say, whiskey or distillery to make goods and trade? They've mentioned an old idea. They had an idea of production nodes where you could take over a place and build specific things like missiles, but that's a long way away. I said that you could fake zero for ships so you could keep it. Yeah, I think that's 100% possible, but I don't think a great way to mitigate the problem of people stealing player ships that are purchased with IRL cash is it could easily be like manipulated. So someone could say, "Oh no, I lost my ship. Someone stole it." And then you just take that ship and you go get it scrubbed, and now you've got a free ship, and then you can keep doing that. The person who lost their ship can keep doing that. And CIG doesn't want to set a hard limit on that, because if they set a hard limit on it, then they're going to just, sue them for not giving them the ability to play for their ship or whatever. And in places like Australia, they'd win. So like what CIG has to do in that sort of situation, those kind of edge cases, is just make it so that player-owned purchased ships can't ever be scrubbed. Yeah, that was anything from that long ago, from 2014, 2015, I'd take with a hefty grain of salt. A lot of things have changed since then. In fact, back then, I remember seeing two different takes on how death mechanics would work. And even then, we've seen a complete runaround from the original concept of Death of the Spaceman to this new regeneration idea. So things change. But yeah, I think you'll still be able to fake serial numbers, but with in-game purchased ships, not purchased with IRL cash. On the flip side, you consider loans, like it must make weekly or monthly payments or lose the ship. In-game, of course. Yeah. I hope that the crafting of intricate meals and beverages will remain. I hope so too. I hope that still happens. Okay, I'm a fan of the X Games, and building up a production chain is fun. It'd be cool to have a really nice whiskey that people can buy and sell in the 90s or something. CIG has mentioned that they want to have like food and beverage be a thing that you could do and have it have an effect in game of some kind in terms of buffs or debuffs or something like that. So they've talked about that in the past. What happened? What stops me from just blowing up my ship and salvaging it for a quick jumpster of money and then claiming it back? Like the start of the game, 400 or something, just blow it up in Polaris and salvage it and hit claim. So there's a couple of things that'll mitigate that. One is time, because right now the times you see are drastically reduced. Something like the Polaris, I could almost guarantee you that a Polaris is going to take a couple of days to come back from insurance. Ships like a Aurora, you might get, almost instantaneously back, but it also depends. It'll depend on quanta. So if you're in Pyro, it'll take you longer to get ships anyways than if you're in Stanton, because they have to digitally pull an Aurora out of stock from somewhere in the verse and then send it to you through quanta so that it eventually arrives at you where you are and you can use it. And that can take time. That'll take actual time in game for it to reach you there. The idea being that everything is tracked by quanta. That's the whole point of quanta in the first place. So blowing up a Polaris which is probably harder to find, would mean that you have to get it back at a much longer, take a lot longer for you to get it back, which means that you're going to lose it for a while, which would then mean that you could salvage it for a quick buck, but you ain't getting that back for a while. And they could also do things where if it constantly gets blown up every time it comes back when you salvage it, they could also put a hold on it, basically saying you're doing insurance fraud, and now you won't be able to get it back for longer. You know, they'll just increase the time. So you can always get it back, but now it's going to take you twice as long because they have to investigate your insurance fraud, you know. That could work, but if you continue to blow it up, that would be a problem. Radagast Whiskey 277 is an in-game whiskey you can get after spending a lot of real money. Yeah. Plus all the stuff about crew buddies from multiple starter packages, not to mention anything for that forever. I personally would like to see a no ship package, or a package that has the same equivalent of weapons. So instead of getting a ship that has, instead of a ship, you get a package with like select number of guns, select number of armor, gadgets, backpack, everything, like a smorgasbord of like good shit, but no ships, so that you could essentially work as a mercenary to make your way. Do we know if they'll be able to hold on to the Luminalia gifts and sell them after the event concludes? Usually, yes. Unless they wipe them. Titan suit game, only game package. I think it'd be hours, though, because of the game fun greater than sim. Yeah. I think it'll be hours, though, because the game fun greater than sim. There's going to be some balance things, because it's not just sim, it's also balance to game. You don't want to be able to blow up a Polaris and get it in like 2 hours, because that feels like it's too short. Like, a Polaris exploding should be a costly investment to get that back. Not just in realism, but also just in gameplay balance. It's not something you just want to throw away, because otherwise then nobody gives a shit about their ships and they just can throw them away, constantly blowing them up, and they just get a new one. Eventually you have, you know, victory by crushing bodies, people just throwing massive amounts of Idrises at a problem until it's solved, and there's no consequence for it. There needs to be some sort of consequence for losing a big ship like that, and time is a consequence. I don't think Star Citizen's ready for that kind of package, though. The kind of package with just FPS starter. Just because, you know, it's not really in a good position for that. I think that's a good kind of year one release, though. Like post year one release, like 1 year after release something like that. Losing modules that's a mistake. That's a not, I wouldn't say a bug, it's just an unintended feature. Eventually you'll be able to ensure those modules to be able to get them back. But if you lose modules now, it's a bug that it's not, because everything's supposed to come back even after you purchase it. Hey, Q-Pan. This is Mr. Superfan Q-Pan. How you doing, buddy? When you have LTI, your ship, you should also insure any ship that you own when you require it. Like, the Polaris blowing up gives you 65% of the market value, but you got to get the other 35%. The way that they're going to do it is there's going to be a deductible for everything. So you're going to have to pay some money to get your ship back entirely. That was the original idea. So there's some portion you have to pay, but you'll be able to get it back. Turret Gunner game pack, you get an undersuit, a helmet, 64 pack of crayons. I could see something like a turret gunner pack being like a good EVA suit, some, because like, eventually EVA will have its own harness for various EVA stuff, or like an explorer pack with like one of those heat or cold suits plus backpack plus like FPS equipment that you could use, that kind of thing. Is Superfan good? How are you? This Superfan is good. How are you, sir? I'm doing good. Doing good. Also, noobs will buy and just have no idea to deal with no ship. Exactly. That's the other problem, is that new people will buy it thinking it's a cheap package and then go, what the fuck do I do? So. 2022 year of Star Citizen? No. No, I think 2022 is not the year of Star Citizen. I think 2022 is the year of broken shit. But progress in broken shit. Paul, do you think the Cutlass Supreme is a Squadron 42 Theaters of War asset? Outlaws need a dog dropship too? I think possibly. Probably. 2025 is more reasonable? Yeah, I think 2022 will see persistence, salvage, and meshing, and pyro, and Nyx. I'm still 100% certain that by the time they get meshing in next year, first version of meshing, they'll have already finished Nyx as well as pyro. So why not add both of them? And Corsair, yeah, ships are fucking easy. Like the Corsair, Banner Merchantman, both are going to be coming out. God, what else is there? The whole series is coming out, the whole A and the whole C, and then we'll get the B and the D after that. I mean, it's a good year, but I also think, like, I really wouldn't say that all of that is good, because getting meshing in tier 1 or tier 0 meshing, or whatever the early static meshing is going to be, it's going to suck. It's going to break the game. You're not going to be able to get on the game. It's just going to be awful. Like, the experience in the game is going to be awful when it first comes in. Same with persistence. Persistence is going to have weird bugs. It's going to cause you to wipe your character and progress for random reasons. Salvage is just not going to work right. It's gonna be tiered to be super like profitable in the first version, and then the second version is going to get nerfed into the dirt. And it won't fully work with everything. Just poking fun at you. You were sure the Odyssey wouldn't just refine Quantanium. Yeah, no, I that's based off of what CIG had said before, that every refinery was able to refine everything. Which is what the Starfarer is going to do. Like, that's the reason what the Starfarer wasn't originally designed to refine anything but fuel, but they decided they're going to use the Starfarer as a starter kind of refinery for everything. So, and they talked about in the past that they were looking to make all refineries refine everything. Now, with the Odyssey, it's obvious that they've decided to go back on that. And as a result, it actually made the Odyssey worse. I've already talked about that in the last episode, the last office hours. Like the Luminalia boxes. I feel like CIG was probably a little over-eager with the 250 nerf. I feel like they should have changed the spawn timers, because I don't feel like making them worth less is a good tweak, a good balance change. I think making them the same price, but forcing players to leave the starting zones is what you want. I have a theory, and I could be entirely wrong on this, that I don't think a lot of the game designers at CIG are really thinking about Star Citizen in terms of player psychology. Could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong on this part. But it feels like a lot more of a throwing against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's more like painting by numbers for the gameplay, and not really thinking about why do players do what they do. Because if I was to be designing something like Star Citizen, my goal is to get players to leave everywhere, to just constantly move. if they're staying in a star system or in like a planetary system, but to constantly move around the planetary system to incentivize them to be moving all the time and bumping into other players at hotspots. So if I'm doing the Luminalia thing, I don't want them to be in the starter zones, but I do want them to be in the starter zones to long enough to know that Luminalia is a thing. So they pick up a package and they look, maybe what is this? Maybe someone tells them what it is, but make it so that you don't just farm boxes at a landing zone. What you do that is just to tweak the spawn rate. So they spawn much slower and more infrequent than they currently do. That would then move people to go find those boxes at outposts. That still increases time to money input is much higher. So people are not going to be as incentivized if they can make more money doing other things. But people who are already doing box missions will then pick those up along the way because they know that they're in loot boxes or whatever, and kind of put two and two together. Makes it a nice little addition to what you're making rather than a replacement for another event. But, Hey, bud, wanted to say hi to an actual fan of the game. Wife is streaming, but she's a poser. Your wife I don't know who your wife is, but I'm sure your wife is a fantastic player. Keep doing lore. Love it. I'm glad. Thank you. I think you're right. And I think that, and that's to CIG's detriment. Yeah. I don't think that CIG, I don't think it's like a critical error. I don't think it's something that CIG is like fundamentally bad at. I just don't think that CIG has thought about it because they're so focused on like tech pillars. Like that's just what they need right now. They just got so much shit to do. Like the first thing, I've talked to enough like early CIG employees, like when they first start, when they look at it and they go, like they just look at what they need to do and go, holy fuck, I'm going to die. And then like a couple of months later, they're like, all right, I've sat down and processed this. I'm ready to get to work one piece at a time. But they just take a look at what they need to do and they go, oh, fuck, I'm going to start at this. Because it's so huge. There's so much shit to do that a typical game dev, someone who's worked for maybe even dozens of other companies, would look at what Star Citizen is doing and going, you're insane. You're fucking nuts. How can you get all this stuff done? Is the Linux issue fishy yet? I haven't tried to launch the game in over a week. I don't know. I don't know what that issue was. Have I done a lore video on Gemini Arms? I have. Gemini is very interesting lore because it's actually it's actually Tavarin made. I think I did a full standalone Galactic run on that too. Yeah. I hope people at CIG play the PU. I get their feet worth of the player's experience all the time. There's an entire team dedicated to just playing the game. I met a couple of them too. They're all fans of the game. Like there's a group of people at CIG who are all fans before they became CIG employees, and they play the game constantly. They have an entire that team literally argued for the experience team. They're the experience team. Before them, there was nothing like that, and the player experience team was created out of these people to ensure that we have better experiences, which is why you have better experiences now than you've had in previous years. Will EAC work in Linux? Yeah, there's a button you got to push for Linux. That's all it is. Yeah, I did. Thank you. Yeah, I thought I did. I didn't remember if it was a lecture or if it was like one of these side things where I just pulled it off of office hours or something like that. I still think Pyro will be here. I think Pyro will be here by end of next year. Yeah. Honestly, selling presents isn't a very time efficient way of making money. I grabbed a bunch to keep for souvenirs, but if I want money, I'll blow up surveillance probes. The thing is that the respawn rates were so quickly that you could just wander around some starting area like Grimhex and make 1 million UBC in a couple of hours, which compared to the effort and time it takes to go mining or do combat missions or other things like that, it's very low for a much higher payout. Even if it's slightly different. The Gemini weapons plus accuracy minus damage over types. I forget what special Gemini has. Gemini is sleek. Their main focus is blistering amounts of firepower, not necessarily damage, but a lot of rounds on target. Most of their guns have high rates of fire and good accuracy, but not a lot of damage. Like the S71 is insane. Or is it S72? The assault rifle is almost like a battle rifle instead of an assault rifle, but it also has it has pretty high rate of fire for what it does. It 100K in 20 minutes, yeah. And made nearly 2 million about 3 to 4 hours. It was dumb. The respawn was a bit high. I was walking through the commons and found a loop would just keep going nonstop. Or only partially work like a battle rifle. Yeah, it's not like a full battle rifle. But yeah, Gemini's whole thing is ballistics, accuracy, and fire rate. Like it's SMG's got the highest fire rate out of the game. Hands down. Fastest firing gun in the game. The burst still does work for the battle rifle? Okay. Look at its fire rate. It's got a 400 RPM. Muzzle velocity of 600 meters per second. And effective range of 50 meters. I'll look at the P4AR, which is the standard. Has the same effective range, but it has a higher fire rate, but a lower muzzle velocity. And is actually more expensive than the S71. Max range is 12. Yeah, it's also got the S71 has a higher range and a slightly lower damage drop. Its alpha strike at 100 meters is 1.5 and DPS is 13.75 for the P4. The DPS at 100 meters is 21.93 DPS. It's got much higher DPS and much more accurate and longer range. Oh, the P4 is great, but the S71 is designed for long-range engagements. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Bearing is the middle road. Castak, bad spelling, is damage over everything. So then Gemini is the most accurate. It's accurate with fire rate. They kind of slip in here and there, like the Gemini. Like I said, the C54. It has a fire rate of 110 RPM, 100 or 1100 RPMs, with a DPS of at 50 meters, which is its extreme range. About 37.3. And the Custodian, which is probably the closest competitor to it, is has a 120 DPS over its highest range in charge bursts, but single shot is 66.7. Charge burst is terrible. So it's about double or much higher DPS than say the about double that of the DPS is 37.343, yeah. But its range is lower, the SMG is lower, but it has a higher fire rate, much higher fire rate. Yeah. It just spits. Do I think CFG will ever let us charge enemy weapons? And yeah, no, I think I think that's probably in the cards, is some sort of because when they do start doing physicalizing ammo, I think it's in the cards to have something like a charger for like energy weapons. So like you can like stick your spent magazine into like a charger on a ship and it'll like refill the magazine. Bullet hose. Yeah, bearing is much more of a kind of a middle of the road. You get decent damage output for range and accuracy, but usually a little bit lower in terms of fire rate. They also talked about a suit-based trickle charge. Yeah. Hence why military guys have full auto, but you only ever see them use either full auto or semi-auto. And if they use full auto, you never really you're never really holding the trigger down unless you're using a machine gun. Yeah, and if you're using a fully auto machine gun, you're not really, if you're holding down the trigger, you're not going for accuracy. You're going for suppression. You're trying to, basically rake the fire across an enemy position to keep their heads down while your squad mates move into flank or to take them out in some way. That's a machine gun is just to tell you to sit down and shut the fuck up. That's what a machine gun is used for. That's why I have a problem with shooting games, is they're so unrealistic. I mean, like, the problem with going for realistic gunplay is that realistic gunplay isn't as fun as you think. For people who are used to weapons, it makes sense because like you have fun with it, or you're used to using weapons the way they're supposed to. But you need to make gunplay fun, and there's a lot of things about firearms ownership which is not fun, like cleaning rifles constantly, safety, like all sorts of safety things you need to worry about. How you handle it, how you have to be constantly aware of your weapon, wherever your firearm, whenever you're around it. It's not something that a typical person wants to deal with. People just want to be like Rambo. So Ion or Inferno? Inferno all day long, baby. I imagine how shooting a gun in space should fuck with the EVA. Well, that's why you have your suit has inbuilt EVA thrusters, so when you're firing, it actually should counter and it used to actually counter your when you shot, you would see your EVA thrusters firing to keep you in place. Well, I love the maintenance part. That's because you're insane, Half-8. That's because you're insane. Listen, I can see gun cleaning being zen. I don't clean mine too often because I don't use mine too often, but my equivalent is minis. That's zen to me.
2 words. Distress bacon.
Taking down, cleaning, and reassembling my weapon in the dark is a blast. I love it. God, you guys are insane. Ammo is heavy. Having to carry a bunch of ammo, it's just impractical. Slow, controlled bursts are the best. Yeah. Go shoot more. It's good practice. I don't have time, man. I just don't have time. And ranges are expensive as fuck. Even in Texas, they're way too expensive. You can imagine the game CIG would make to clean the gun. I could see CIG requiring some sort of gun maintenance just as a kind of like a periodic thing, but I don't think CIG wants to go that much. And ammo these days? Holy fuck, is ammo expensive. Thanks to COVID. 40K Bob Ross. We don't make mistakes. We make heresy. I don't think we'll see weapon malfunctions like Tarkov. That's just not what we're going to see in Star Citizen. I do think we'll have accuracy issues. So, like, I could see CIG doing a thing where you just have maintenance, like a gun cleaning kit you can keep that will allow you to maintain your weapons just as like kind of an action. And it'll make sure that your weapons are able to be used properly. And if you don't, over time, they'll simulate the grime and dirt by just like not hitting your target, like just wider spreads. You got distracted by Cutlass Steel, and we talked about Cutlass Steel, man. Happy accidents, yes. Long dart style cleaning kit, or like DayZ does something similar where you have like a gun cleaning kit that you can like repair breaking weapons. So you could have a situation where the gun just stops working, like it just misfires, or it doesn't hit accurately, and eventually it gets to a point where it just stops working entirely, and you have to clean it. The Cutlass Supreme, a Cutlass Black with extra. Yeah. Question: when do you think we will see in-game gun range? Gun shops should have this. I think when they start adding, like one of the things they added recently to the roadmap, to the progress tracker, was FPS devices. I think when we start seeing persistence and more work on, like bullets, like individual like bullet management, then we'll start seeing gun ranges. Because there's a gun range on the Idris. Like a fully realized gun range in the Idris. Someone should explain to CIG what zeroing a weapon actually means. You're probably right, and I know that if I'm in the minority here, but I think malfunctions would be rad as fuck. I don't think malfunctions are good, just because I don't like jams aren't fun. Just they aren't fun to deal with. They're surprises which are random, and I don't think are. And with like games, you don't want random breaking. You want a reason for it to break. And I think a situation where your gun is visually degraded over time, where you have to maintain it, and then eventually it's a rusted piece of shit, and you pull the trigger and just nothing comes out. That makes more gameplay sense than having like a round that can get jammed and you have to like work a jam out and continue to fire it. Just basically a health bar where it's green to red and then just stops working. And if you don't repair it, then you have to toss it because it gets broken, or you have to take it to a specific. Take it to a specific like repair person. I did that one. Oh, Zero State's rating. That's what that Belta Loader was. Hey, Zero. What was it? What was it that Moist says? Oh, right. He said that there was a more handsome and sexier sounding person in the chat. Don't worry, Zero. I'm with you. I'm with you, buddy. I think you're attractive. I think you're very handsome. You can clip this right here. Zero State is a very handsome man. Very handsome. Mwah.
Good news, everyone.
I'd like to hear your thoughts before you leave there, Zero. Do you think
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy?
Because we had this discussion. Do you think there should be weapon jams or weapon degradation in Star Citizen? Time to go watch The Expanse. Hey, season 6 out. Zero says James Holden, except he isn't trying to take a shit or save the world every 2 seconds. Yeah, he doesn't stick his dick in it because it's already fucked. He's too sexy for Star Citizen. That is true. Zero City is too sexy for Star Citizen. Bullets are only a fraction bullet projectile, case, gunpowder, primer, all in a case of Star Citizen, some kind of airtight seal between the parts. Yeah. Nigs, I have to poop faces a lot. Yes, he does. Why not degradation that leads to jams and other malfunctions? Clearing a jam should give an opportunity to change mags, forcing you to manage magazines and stuff like that, administration reloads and such. I'm not a big fan of jams, weapon jams, because they seem random. I'm much more of a fan of just like it not working, like more of a typical weapon degradation situation where like you use a weapon until it's completely pointless, or you use a weapon and you maintain it to make sure it's up.
I'm pilot.
This is the last season of The Expanse. Yeah, it's coming out. I only like the jam on my toast or bagels, or the jam that can come with a nice set of music. Nice jam. The only too sexy for Star Citizen is Henry Cavill, but the dude's instruction became his. So then you don't. Then you just won't, and you can't fix it and then needs proper repair. No, I mean effectively, the simple way of doing it is you have a weapon maintenance kit that has a certain number of uses, and over time you just make sure that you maintain your weapon to keep its use up, and eventually if you stop doing that, it'll eventually just stop working. I like Space Jam. I think it'd be nice to be able to manage magazines in your inventory. So many times I'm stuck with some magazines that have 3 to 4 rounds in it. Yeah, no, they're already planning on that, being able to have like individually loading bullets into magazines and stuff like that. That's something they're doing. The jam system for autocannon weapons in MechWarrior Online is actually pretty good example of something that would be cool in Star Citizen. Just something that eventually something that happens, but then you just have to wait, and then it's a timer that you have to wait for it to kind of dislodge. But you could also, because I like that. I remember the MechWarrior MWO's jam system, because it was like if you overheated it, if you held down the gun and just fired for too long, it'll eventually jam. So it forces you to more burst your shots with autocannons. Also with guns too, with machine guns did the same thing. What are these noises? It's a Twitch thing, yeah. So I use a system called Triggerfire, which allows me to connect my my rewards on Twitch to sound to kind of sound clips, so people can pay for my Twitch rewards tokens.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up,
and they can play those randomly. So. Oh, Mudcut jams. Oops. Yeah. Our energy weapons could overcharge and cause a short circuiting of the ship systems. Yeah. Paul, what do you think Inferners are going to make of the steel? So I can tell you that individually that I think Execute, who's probably still in chat, probably thinks that there's no point to it, or it's such a niche ship that it's not really valuable. I think. S and a lot of the other military guys will see it as a great option for dropships, as a cheap dropship. If you want the ability to have a dropship, but you don't want to have to cost it, but it's very, very, very specific. And I'll tell you that it's dumb. It's dumb as hell, but I fucking love it. I love the idea of a Cutlass with just guns and seats. It sounds dumb and fun. Outlaws need a dropship for Squad 42 too. Yeah, it's very much an asset that I could see being reused for criminal assets for sure. Yeah. Cuddy Bus. Yeah, I also think that that's another way of looking at it, Brumman, is that the Steel will be an ultra budget passenger ship with guns. I think when we get in 317 or 318, whenever the kind of the taxi service is added, that I think a Cutlass Steel might actually be a pretty decent option for that for budget travelers, because you can carry a lot of people. Seats, rockets, and guns. That's Draco, right? I mean, yeah. It's a Cuddy variant I never knew I always wanted. It's a Cuddy variant I've always wanted, because I've talked about the ability to mount guns in the side doors, to be able to like take those mounted guns and place them in the side doors, and turn it into a Huey, you know, from Vietnam, like a cheap drop ship, a cheap gunship. And CIG decided, let's do that, but let's triple that. 2 tickets, just bring your own O2. Yeah. Still seems like a black killer, so all you get with the black is cargo space. I mean, that's a lot you get, though. The cargo space in the black is huge, and it makes it very versatile in comparison to the black. Like, I would not choose a Steel over the black for a starter ship. The black is incredibly, very, very niche. If you already have a Valkyrie, you don't need a black. If you have a hoplite. If you have a hoplite, or if you have a Redeemer, then you don't need a black. I mean, if you have a Redeemer, you need lots of other ships other than the Redeemer, because it's garbage. But the Steel, you don't need the Steel, because the Steel is kind of in the middle there. Question: how can the Cutlass Steel generate enough oxygen? Do you not think that people will need to be able to wearing suits? It's not going to. It's going to limit its range. The Steel will not have as much range as, say, the Valkyrie, because it's not designed to have that range. Cuddy Black has rumble seats too, yeah. I mean, you just don't open the side doors, and make sure the back door is pressurized, because, you know, and I think you'll have enough oxygen on that ship to survive short trips, but long duration deep space voyages are not something you use with the Cutlass Steel. Yeah, it's dumb, but Sam, I love it too. Thanks for the candidness. Like Zero said, get rid of a few seats and it would open up a low budget boots on the ground. I don't know. I think it's fine for the number of seats. I think it's perfectly flexible for what it is. It's designed for dropships. If you want to be a dropship pilot and you don't want to, you don't have a lot of cash, or you're getting into that, like say you're a mercenary org and you need something to get people onto the ground that has guns, and you can't buy both a Redeemer and a Valkyrie, buy a Steel. It's like that kind of budget option. Yeah, $26 plus half a fucking server. But you don't need all those seats. But if you have all those seats, you have them. You know, you don't have them, which is nice, because, you know, in case you need it. At least then you have it. If I see a Steel with that many people on it, I don't care what happens. I'm blowing it up. And I missed an opportunity. Kill half a server. Yeah. Wait to see what the Caterpillar can do with passenger compartments. Oh yeah, I'm almost guarantee you there'll be a dropship compartment on a Caterpillar, because that sounds Drake as hell and dumb as shit. a Caterpillar module that just opens up and they're just like seats of like 20 troop pods drop out the sides. Fitted a Caterpillar to hold 100 different, just dropping in like 100 troops onto a battleground. Is Drake just found early tech from 40k orcs? Kinda. Wait to see what the Caterpillar can do with the passenger quay. Yeah, we were saying that. Yeah, Drake relies on speed, straight line speed, firepower, and its shields and armor. It's not as armored as something like Anvil, but it's faster than Anvil. It doesn't quite have as much guns as Anvil, but it's close. But what it sacrifices for all of that is safety. Drakes generally don't have escape pods or ejection seats. Drake ships don't. So you're going down with that ship unless you bail out old school style. Which is not impossible. I've done it before. Yeah, the Cutlass used to have 2 shields. It won't get another shield. It may have had one at one point, but they got lost in a lot of the upgrades and changes. I can only ever remember the Cutlass having 1 though. So that would make a great Titan dropship. Yeah, oh yeah. We'll be able to fit a rock inside a Cutlass Steel? No. You won't fit shit in there. We'll now see a Valk variant with 50 seats. Well, the Valk has 40? I want to say? Or does it have 20? I think it has 20. But it has 20, but it also has space for either cargo or vehicles. So. Yeah, that's the thing. The Valkyrie has the ability to have vehicles, which is big. Right now, it's not a big thing, but you have to think about what Star Citizen's going to be in a year, 2 years. When we get those inevitable ground op missions or events where you're going there and you have to wade through armor levels of fucking AI being thrown at you, and tanks being driven around by AI, and cyclones and all those sorts of things. Having a vehicle for fast movement, scouting, or just extra firepower is a good thing. Chuckles in A2. Well, A2 doesn't have enough space to have... it only can carry the crew of vehicles on board. It can't carry troops as well. I mean, it can, but there's no seats. So, hey, how you doing, buddy? Do I think the absolute bare minimum crew for man for the Steel 4, all turrets, pilot, and floating door gunner? Yeah, but 4 would probably be the absolute minimum. Maybe 5, because there's two gunners on either side. Even right now, standing room's not a good idea because you fall on your ass every time that ship moves. Like, you'll have to lay down to stop moving. And you also got to think about life support. If there's not enough life support on board that ship, it won't be able to support it. You need a platoon just to man the guns on an A2. There's a lot of 8. There are 7 seats on an A2. Funny enough, there are more seats on a Cutlass Steel. Only 1K viewers in Star Citizen channels, and I have 300 of them. It's also like 11 o'clock at night here. It's almost midnight in the East Coast. It's super late in the evening, early in the morning for EAU. It's off hours. Twitch viewership as a whole is down around this time. Even a door gunner, you get thrown out of the ship with the smallest movement. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why it's so low. All right, let's talk about the last little bit that I wanted to talk about, which is the lore. There's some lore that was released recently about Jumptown. Data cache. All right. So I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'll give you the rundown. Skyer Fuckius, which I don't know what that means, but I think this is Rudo's alias. Gets a message from someone named Teak, who this is interesting. Surprise, surprise, guess who's back? Sure, most people in my spot would lay low after went down last op, but I know I can't hide from you, so I won't even try. Better come forward and clear the air so we can get back to our mutually beneficial working relationship. I know offing myself to avoid getting captured really messed up that last deal, implying he, in order to not get captured so he could regen. So this is already in the regen mindset. Sorry it shook out that way, but me getting captured and locked up would have made things any better. And for you, much worse for me. Promised myself I'd never spend another minute inside one of those damn rehab facilities. Plus, I can't make it up to you on the inside either. But now that I've regened and I'm back at it again, I can make this right. Yeah, been around long enough to know that nothing heals old wounds better than a bunch of credits. So how about it? You into working together again? No hard feelings. If not. But I've got credits ready to go if you've got actionable info. But we'll even double your normal cut on any profits I make from the your last job. Can I slave the computer slave to the door guns? An NPC maybe, but no. Was it a comment on lower view ship or how you have the significant fraction of it? Both. So someone said that we only had 1,000 people watching and I have 300 of them. I was mostly referencing that as like, yeah, that makes sense considering what's going on. And PTU is really quiet. Yeah. All right. So to Teak from Sky Francis reviewing tour, I don't like working with people who quit mid-gig, but I like credits more. 3 times my take on the next gig, plus the usual fee of info, and you might get back in my good graces. Steep price, but worth it. Sending you the standard info fee now. Ready and willing to work whenever you. What do you got? Can you be in Stanton by tomorrow? I got a big get, but time sensitive. On my way to send the details. Discovered someone set up an outpost to manufacture Widow automatically and got my mitts on their production schedule. Leaked info about the goons guarding the place to some bounty hunters who are more than happy to clear it out. Should be unguarded for the next production run. AA guns are also offline for an easy in and out. Bigger the ship you bring, the better. Should be plenty of willing buyers in system, location details, and production timeline attached. Attachment Widowmaker. 2 Commander Con from Skyer. Just got a top tier bounty and it will be in Stanton tomorrow. Interested? Standard fee. Sure. Shit I'm sitting on right now isn't materializing anyways. We'll send credits tomorrow. Or since now. Bounty profile attached plus where and when, so you know bounty isn't above offering themselves to avoid getting caught. So we recommend you go non-lethal and take them by surprise. Attachment Teak. Fucking Skyer immediately backstabbing Teak. Commander Khan, thanks for the heads up. Heading out there now, so I'll set up when they arrive. Appreciate you reaching out about this. Still in debt to Pudge and have Kiddo's birthday coming up. Would be open to any more gigs you got. Any tips are actually worth the price. To Commander Conference, get this right, and I'm sure we can find more for you to do. To Irving Tornado from Skyer. Coast is clear. Got the hunter staking out an outpost to chase something else. Gave him a real gig that should give him busy, and added a little something to the target profile to track down his location. We'll monitor and let you know if he redirects back to the outpost. You can do as you please. If he does, if he messes up the gig I gave him, then he's useless to me. Should give you and your crew plenty of time to grab as much widows and vanishes. Don't forget my cut. Thanks. Ship's ready to go. Some extra hustlers on standby. Let's see how much this stuff we can snag. And yeah, don't worry about your cut. Last thing I ever want to do is be on your bad side. I knew I liked you for a reason, so let me get you a little something. I'm getting word that more of these auto-manufactured sites are popping up and pumping all kinds of goodies. May have a line on another location if interested. Let me modify. Last thing I'd ever want to do to you is trust you completely. I'd ever want to do is trust you completely. Let's see how this gig goes first before you start selling me on a second. Good move there, Irving. Good idea. Don't trust this man. This man will backstab you. Thank you for that two months subscription there. Astropub is life. Thank you so much, there 89. Roll open the club like what? Okay. What do you think of the absolute bare minimum crew? All right, I already talked about that. Glitter Cutlass. Sounds like a Cowboy Bebop reference. What? Sky or Francis? Fuck yes? No. Maybe. So yeah, so they added in the lore what's going on, that these are automated facilities that are outputting drugs. Little interesting backstory there. It's kind of interesting. And also adding in both the ability to stop someone from offing themselves and people offing themselves in lore to avoid getting caught. Pretty cool things. Skyer doing a lot there. Well, you don't piss off Skyer. And Skyer is, I think, Rudo. I think that's one of his handles is Skyer. Though, is there an actual mission giver called Skyer in game? I don't think so. They mentioned AAA support being down. JT could evolve. For sure. I almost expect it to. What do you think would be... Oh, I keep reading that. When do we get the disco ball Cutlass? The Cutlass purple? Soon, my man. Soon. It was pretty cool. I read through the second time I read it. Missed multiple conversations the first read through, yeah. So, like, people have been asking in the past, like, hey, Paul, how do you know so much about the lore? They do that every Tuesday. They add a new lore thing every Tuesday. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's a profile on some historical event. Sometimes it's conversations from advocacy agents. Sometimes it's a conversation. It's like an excerpt from, like, a Senate meeting. Sometimes it's a interview done on a talk show, like a radio show or like a variety show or whatever. So. Cutlass Imperial, yeah. Oof. It is getting late here, my friends, so I think I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for joining us here at the Astropub. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll probably be doing some more, depending on where they are in PTU. I know they're not planning on releasing 3.16 until probably... Christmas Eve is next Friday, so they probably want to release it like the 22nd, maybe my guess. 22nd. But soon. I don't think it'll release it tomorrow, but if they do, we'll play tomorrow. But my plan is to go into 3.15, not 3.16, and do a little bit more money making, maybe hang out with some other people. And then Saturday, we've got a year in review. We'll be talking with Moist Noodle and Enterprise. So we'll be talking about Star Citizen this year, goods, bads, ups and downs, highlights, and what do you all think we're going to happen in 2022? So I can go home now. Thank you all again for watching, and hopefully we'll I'll upload that video for the little excerpt that we did from this stream. That'll be uploaded. That'll be uploaded on Saturday. So it'll probably be live Saturday afternoonish. I miss Ashford.
Words. Distress bacon.
We all miss Ashford. How about that Ion nerf? I never flew the Ion, so I can't really comment on it. All I know is that CIG will continue to nerf and balance things as they go through. It's important for people to give updates. I don't think the Ion or the Inferno should ever be able to be a fighter, because it's not designed to be a fighter. It's designed to be taking on larger ships. So I don't know how they could do that. There are people who play the game, or not play the game more than me. They are people playing more than me, but people who play that sort of style more than I do, who probably have a better idea than I do. So that would be the people who I'd talk to. Before we go, Reftron, and then we'll go. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. And remember, Existoria ad Astra. Later, y'all.